Chapter 366. In mid-air, the fire dragon was restrained by the golden halo. Its body stiffened, and it fell straight to the ground. The golden halo tightened, and the huge fire dragon turned into red light spots that filled the sky. They slowly dissipated, and Liu Erlong's body gradually appeared. Lu Yuan was shocked to see Liu Erlong withdraw from her martial soul true body. He hurriedly flapped his wings and rushed over to where Liu Erlong had fallen. If her martial soul true body was still around, it would be fine. Even if she fell from mid-air, it would only be a minor injury. However, Lu Yuan didn't expect his dark golden terrorclaw and unpredictable storm to make Liu Erlong withdraw from her martial soul true body state. If Liu Erlong fell like this, she would definitely be severely injured. Lu Yuan didn't want to see that happen. After all, he actually admired Liu Erlong. He didn't hold back during the battle, which was a form of respect for her. However, if she was seriously injured, Lu Yuan would inevitably feel bad. Of course, it might have something to do with the fact that Liu Erlong was a woman. If it were Zhao Wuji, it would be a different story. It was fine as long as she didn't die from the fall. After all, it wasn't good for a man to bully a woman. However, if it was a man who was being bullied, it wouldn't be a problem. In any case, every time he fought with Zhao Wuji in the past, both of them would be beaten black and blue. This was already a normal situation. Lu Yuan's figure flew over and caught Liu Erlong as her body was falling rapidly. Then, he slowly landed on the ground. Liu Erlong's injuries were a little serious. Her pretty face was pale, and blood was flowing from the corner of her mouth. In particular, there was a deep claw mark on her body. Blood seeped out and dyed her green robe red. At this moment, she was being caught by Lu Yuan. She didn't move at all. If it weren't for the fact that her beautiful eyes were still open, Lu Yuan would have thought that she was about to faint. "You've won." Liu Erlong's eyes were filled with complicated emotions. Her red lips moved slightly as she spoke. "Sorry, I didn't control my strength." Looking at Liu Erlong's injuries, Lu Yuan was a little embarrassed. After all, although it was a battle, it was indeed a little unreasonable for him to injure her to this extent. No matter what, Liu Erlong was still a woman. "It's not your fault. My attacks were too violent." "You were merely retaliating," Liu Erlong said softly. She was known as the Slaughter Horn. Her attacks were berserk, just like her temper, exploding at the slightest provocation. And this time, her opponent was Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan only had one way of fighting, and that was recklessness. The two of them crashed into each other. The battle was indeed earth-shattering and exceptionally intense. This was especially so after Liu Erlong released her martial soul true body. Her battle prowess had skyrocketed. If Lu Yuan didn't go all out, he would be the one to lose. And once he unleashed his full strength, it was very difficult to stop in time. Liu Erlong also understood, so she didn't blame Lu Yuan. On the contrary, she admired this young man very much. This young man was really strong. "You're amazing. This is the first time I've seen such an outstanding young man like you. You should be at most 15 or 16 years old. After all, although you have a tall stature, your face is still a little immature. One look and I can tell that you're still young." Liu Erlong said softly. I'm actually only 12 years old. However, I'll be 13 in 2 months." Lu Yuan paused as he met Liu Erlong's gaze. "What?" After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Liu Erlong's eyes widened. He's already rank 47 at 12 years old, and his fighting prowess is so strong that he can even defeat me. Is he still human? Could it be a monster? Lu Yuan couldn't help but laugh bitterly as he saw Liu Erlong's expression. "Lu Yuan, are the two of you all right?" Zhu Zhuqing immediately rushed over after seeing that the battle had ended. Long Xiaoyaro and Dugu Bo followed behind her. "I'm all right. They're just some superficial injuries." "Dean Liu Erlong's injuries are more serious," Lu Yuan said. How did Dean Erlong suffer such serious injuries?" "Lu Yuan, couldn't you have been gentler when you attacked?" Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but grumble softly as she saw the obvious claw marks on Liu Erlong's body. Even her robes were torn, and fresh blood was seeping out. "Don't blame him. It's unavoidable to get injured during a battle. It's normal that he didn't stop. Before Lu Yuan could reply, Liu Erlong's weak voice sounded. All right, Dean Liu Erlong. Let's talk later. Let's go to your wooden hut to treat your injuries first. Lu Yuan said. All right, Lu Yuan, let's go treat Dean Liu's injuries then. Zhu Zhuqing said. Ever since she heard Lu Yuan's story about Liu Erlong, Zhu Zhuqing's heart was filled with admiration for this infatuated Liu Erlong, a woman who dared to love and hate. She also had a good impression of her. They passed through the messy forest and arrived at Liu Erlong's wooden hut. They placed Liu Erlong on her wooden bed. Zhuqing, I'll have to trouble you to clean Dean Erlong's injuries. After that, apply some medicine on her and feed her a roll of longji leaves. I'll go and refine a batch of rejuvenation pills to help Dean Erlong recover faster. All right, go ahead, Zhu Zhuqing said. Lu Yuan nodded and walked out of the wooden hut. Long Xiaoyaro and Dugu Bo followed behind him. Liu Erlong's injuries were in her previous life. Men and women shouldn't touch each other. They naturally couldn't be present when she was being treated. Lu Yuan came to the side of the wooden hut and took out his cauldron. He started to refine pills. The rejuvenation pill wasn't difficult. It was a low-tier healing pill. It was about as difficult as the soul-returning pill. With Lu Yuan's current standards, the success rate was still very high. Lu Yuan ignited a flame and started to refine the pill. Time passed slowly. The refinement of the rejuvenation pill was coming to an end. Lu Yuan reduced the flame and started to refine the pill. As long as the pill's medicinal properties were stabilized at the last step, the refinement of the pill would be a success. How is it? Are you done? Zhu Zhuqing's voice suddenly rang out while Lu Yuan was refining the pill. However, Lu Yuan appeared very calm. He wasn't surprised at all. This was because he had already sensed Zhu Zhuqing's approach. Almost done. How's Dean Erlong's injuries? Lu Yuan asked. She's all right. After applying the medicine, she ate a roll of longji leaves. She looks much better now, Zhu Zhuqing said. That's good. Lu Yuan nodded. Let me ask you a question, Lu Yuan. Zhu Zhuqing's cold voice rang out. Ask away. Lu Yuan stared at the cauldron and said casually. Does it feel good to hug Dean Erlong? Zhu Zhuqing looked straight at Lu Yuan. After all, Lu Yuan was the one who had been hugging Liu Erlong when he sent her back. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to walk with her injuries. Lu Yuan was speechless. Chapter 367. Why are you asking this? Hearing Zhu Zhuqing's words, Lu Yuan's hand paused for a moment before returning to normal. He continued to control the fire in an orderly manner. Nothing, I just wanted to ask. After all, Principal Erlong has such a good figure. It must be very comfortable for you to hug her, Zhu Zhuqing said. You're being jealous again. Principal Erlong is already so old, and she's a bit violent. She's not my type. She's not old. Lu Yuan suddenly stopped. Seeing Lu Yuan stop halfway, Zhu Zhuqing hurriedly asked, She's not what? Nothing, I just mean that she's not my type. Moreover, hugging her is just like that. I don't feel anything. It's not as comfortable as hugging you. I feel very good hugging you, Lu Yuan said. Bah, only a ghost would believe you, you pervert, Zhu Zhuqing cursed, but there was a smile on her face. Okay, it's about time. Lu Yuan withdrew all the flames and patted the cauldron. Immediately, 5 streaks of light flew out and were caught by Lu Yuan. Heh, not bad. All 5 of them are of high quality. They look pretty good. Looking at the 5 round elixirs, Lu Yuan had a smile on his face. His alchemy skills had improved a little. Let's go and deliver the pills to Principal Erlong. Oh, right, there are a few soul-returning pills here. Let Senior Dugu give them to that middle-aged teacher. I almost forgot about them in the fight just now. Lu Yuan said softly. Then, he waved at Dugu Bo and handed him the bottle containing the soul-returning pills, asking him to give it to the middle-aged teacher. Dugu Bo took the pills. Although he did not understand why Lu Yuan was doing this, he still delivered them personally. Let's go and see Principal Erlong. Holding Zhu Zhuqing's hand, Lu Yuan walked towards Liu Erlong's wooden hut. Dean Erlong, how do you feel? After feeding Liu Erlong the rejuvenation pill, Lu Yuan asked softly. I'm much better now. Your pill is very effective. However, pills are very rare on the Douluo continent. The only pill I know of is the Soul Ascension pill. It's very precious. However, the recovery effect of your pill is very obvious. It's not much worse than the Soul Ascension pill, Liu Erlong said. Heh, Soul Ascending pill? Lu Yuan smiled faintly. The Soul Ascension pill was only useful to Soul Masters and Soul Grandmasters. It was a low-level pill. Moreover, the Soul Ascension pill could only be used once in a person's lifetime. If it wasn't polished, it would be a bit superficial. Overall, it was quite precious. However, compared to the Spirit Ascension pill he refined, it was far inferior. The Spirit Ascension pill didn't have a limit on the number of times it could be used. It was effective for both Soul Exalts and Soul Ancestors. A single Spirit Ascension pill could increase a Soul Exalt's strength by 1 level. If a Soul Ancestor was close to a bottleneck, a single Spirit Ascension pill would be enough to break through. However, pills were pills after all. Eating too many of them was not good. Not only would it cause one's soul power to become superficial, but it would also develop a resistance to the pill. Every time it was consumed, the effect would be worse the next time. Overall, a person could not eat more than 5 Spirit Ascension pills at most. It was best to limit it to around 3. At the same time, when used together with Qi tempering pills, it could allow one's soul power to quickly condense. It could be said that it was a good medicine for increasing one's strength. With them, Lu Yuan could quickly nurture a group of talents. Moreover, there were many powerful pills in the complete alchemy solution. It was just that Lu Yuan's current level of alchemy was too low. He could not refine them at all. When his alchemy reached a certain level, it would not be difficult for a titled Douluo to break through several ranks with a single pill. Of course, this was on the premise that his alchemy skills could reach a very high level. Otherwise, it would only be a fantasy. Seeing that Lu Yuan seemed to be in a daze, Liu Erlong's beautiful eyes blinked. She said indifferently, since you've won this battle, the Blue Tyrant Academy is yours. I won't say anything else. I only have one request. You have to treat the commoner students better. Don't bully them too much. Dean Erlong, don't worry. Just as I said, even if I take over the academy, the rule of recruiting commoner students will not change. Not only that, I will also appropriately reduce the number of students, increase all kinds of subsidies, and provide work-study opportunities to reduce the burden of the commoner students. Lu Yuan said with a serious expression. I hope you can do as you say. Liu Erlong sighed. You can wait a few days for now. Once I've recovered from my injuries, I'll personally announce this decision to the entire academy. When the time comes, I'll officially hand over all of the academy's affairs to you. There's no rush. Dean Erlong, you should focus on recuperating. There are still 4 rejuvenation pills in this jade bottle. Take one every day. I'm sure it'll be enough to heal your injuries. I'll take my leave for now. Just let me know when you've recovered from your injuries. Lu Yuan said with a smile. Since the dust had settled, the academy would be his sooner or later. As such, Lu Yuan was in no hurry. Zhuqing, stay here and take care of Dean Erlong. I'll have Senior Dugu stay behind to protect you. I still have some matters to attend to in Heaven Do Imperial City. In any case, I'll be back in a few days. You can stay with Dean Erlong during this time, Lu Yuan said to Zhu Zhuqing. All right then. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan with a hint of doubt in her eyes, but she still nodded in the end. Since Lu Yuan had made such arrangements, then he definitely had his reasons. Then it's settled. Dean Erlong, rest well. Zhuqing, come with me for a moment. Lu Yuan smiled at Liu Erlong before taking Zhu Zhuqing's hand and leading her out of the wooden hut. Lu Yuan gently pulled Zhu Zhuqing into his embrace and asked in a soft voice, Zhuqing, are you wondering why I left you behind? Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes. Do you even need to ask? If you left me here, wouldn't you have an easier time finding Chihiro Snow? Lu Yuan was rendered speechless by Zhu Zhuqing's words. Since when had Zhu Zhuqing become so smart? However, he wouldn't admit it so easily. Moreover, he really did have matters to attend to. Lu Yuan rubbed Zhu Zhuqing's head and said, that's not the main reason. There are two main reasons. First, Dean Erlong is injured and needs to be taken care of. Moreover, I was the one who injured her. It's inconvenient for me as a man, so I can only let you take care of her. Who told you to be my kitten? We're one. Then what's the second reason? Zhu Zhuqing was a little happy that Lu Yuan said the two of them were one. Her expression couldn't help but become a lot better. She asked Lu Yuan. She wanted to know what Lu Yuan's second reason was. Chapter 368. The second reason is Elder Douluo. We have to keep my identity a secret for now, and Cher's identity can't be exposed either. That's why we can't let Elder Douluo know about our relationship. However, he's been following us, and we can't find a suitable reason to leave him behind. We can use the fact that you're staying behind to take care of the Twin Dragon Academy's Dean to get him to stay behind to protect you. This way, it's reasonable for Elder Douluo to stay behind. Lu Yuan smiled faintly as he spoke. You're really full of bad ideas. Zhu Zhuqing patted Lu Yuan's chest as she spoke. How can you call this a bad idea? This is called wisdom. This is called cleverness. Lu Yuan pinched Zhu Zhuqing's nose as he spoke. Narcissus. Zhu Zhuqing said coquettishly. Furthermore, you're right about one thing. I do have something important to do with Cher. Previously, I instructed the frenzied rhino Douluo to ask Cher to prepare some rare metals for me. I'm going to make a few soul tools over the next few days. That's why I might leave them with Cher. If you follow me, I won't have time to take care of you. Lu Yuan spoke with a serious look on his face. So in the end, aren't you still going to find Chihiro Snow? Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes. This fellow might indeed have something important to do with Chihiro Snow. However, he was definitely capable of doing something important in the day, and then taking the opportunity to stay behind at night. However, it's fine. This rascal has been with me for so long. It's time for him to spend a few days with Chihiro Snow. This rascal doesn't say it, but I don't know how much he misses me. It's good to let him go. Otherwise, if I force him to stay, he'll really think that I'm petty. Lu Yuan smiled bitterly. He really did miss Chihiro Snow. Moreover, he still had the immortal herbs he wanted to give her. With these two immortal herbs, Chihiro Snow would have no problem reaching level 60. A rough calculation showed that Chihiro Snow had been stuck at rank 59 for several months now. It seemed that even a genius like Chihiro Snow needed time to break through the bottleneck between Soul King and Soul Emperor. Seeing Lu Yuan's bitter smile, Zhu Zhuqing stretched out her jade-like hands and helped Lu Yuan tidy up his clothes. If you want to go, then go. After all, she's your first woman. You've been with me for a long time. It's not good for me to hog you all the time. Otherwise, Chihiro Snow might have a problem with me. You're always so sensible. Lu Yuan gently stroked Zhu Zhuqing's long hair. Zhu Zhuqing always knew when to advance and when to retreat. He really liked her more and more. Master, are we going directly to Matriarch Snow's place? Long Xiaoyaro asked. Yes, let's go. I'm sure Cher has already prepared the rare metals. Lu Yuan said. Lu Yuan and Long Xiaoyaro rushed from the Blue Tyrant Academy to the Crown Prince's residence. As the two of them hurried, they were naturally very fast. Although Heaven-Do City was huge, Lu Yuan and Long Xiaoyaro arrived not far from the Crown Prince's residence in less than an hour. Elder Long, let's go in. Light flashed in Lu Yuan's hand, and the vast sea cosmic shroud instantly appeared. A dazzling blue light barrier enshrouded Lu Yuan, and his body instantly disappeared. Chihiro Snow was reviewing documents in the Crown Prince's residence. She occasionally twirled the pen in her hand. She blinked and asked softly, "Have the metals that rascal wants been prepared?" "The metals that young Master Yuan wants have been prepared. If young Master Yuan needs them, they can be sent over at any time." The snake spear Douluo said not far away. "That's good. Is that rascal still with Douluo? I haven't received any concrete news for a few days." Chihiro Snow said. She looked at the frenzy rhino Douluo beside the snake spear Douluo. I'm not too sure about that. When young Master Yuan asked me to pass a message to young mistress, he told me to stay here. He said that he would come and find young mistress in a few days. I reckon that young Master Yuan should have left Douluo's place by now. The frenzy rhino Douluo said. Is that so? Qian Runxue tapped her finger gently on the table, producing tapping sounds. After a brief moment, she lifted her head and said to the snake spear Douluo, Uncle Shi, get the people from the Martial Soul Hall to take a look again. That rascal told me to prepare the metal, and that he'll come and find me in a few days. Now that the metal is ready, there's no news from him at all. Chihiro Snow's voice carried a hint of resentment. That rascal had been in Heaven-Do City for so long, but he had only met her once. Furthermore, he had brought Zhu Zhuqing with him. The two of them hadn't even had a chance to be alone. That rascal only knew how to bring Zhu Zhuqing around all day, leaving her all alone. What a heartless rascal. Chihiro Snow cursed in her heart. Who said that there's no news? Aren't I here now? A faint laugh sounded from outside the door. The blue light dissipated, and the vast sea cosmic shroud spun in Lu Yuan's hand. He wore a faint smile on his face as he strode into the study. Young Master Yuan. After Lu Yuan entered, the titled Douluo hurriedly greeted him. Senior Snake Spear. Senior Thorny Pufferfish. Senior Crazy Rhinoceros. Lu Yuan greeted the three titled Douluo one by one. However, his gaze was fixed on Chihiro Snow. What's wrong, Cher? We haven't seen each other for a few days, and you can't wait to hear about me. Do you miss me? Lu Yuan teased. Ahem, young mistress, you can have a good chat with young Master Yuan. The three of us will take our leave. The snake spear Douluo shuddered when he saw that this pair of lovey-dovey man and woman were back to being affectionate. The heavens took pity on him. He didn't want to be fed dog food again. He was already so old, and he still had to go through such torment. Sigh. Yes, young mistress, we will take our leave first. If you need anything, just call us, the frenzy rhino Douluo hurriedly said. He had been by Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing's side for the past few days. He had already been fed dog food, and he didn't want to vomit anymore. Then the three of you can leave first. Chihiro Snow naturally understood what the three titled Douluo meant. She blushed a little as she waved her hand and said, Yes. The three titled Douluo nodded and hurriedly left the study. They even considerately closed the door behind them. Cher, you haven't answered me. Did you miss me? After the three of them left, Lu Yuan slowly walked to Chihiro Snow's side. He lifted his right hand and removed Chihiro Snow's disguise. Suddenly, the beautiful Chihiro Snow was back. Don't be narcissistic. Who would miss a rascal like you? Chihiro Snow tilted her head slightly and revealed a proud expression. Is that so? But I miss you very much, Cher. Lu Yuan smiled and grabbed Chihiro Snow. After that, he carried Chihiro Snow in his arms. Ah! Chihiro Snow couldn't help but exclaim when she was suddenly attacked by Lu Yuan. She hurriedly hugged Lu Yuan's neck and punched Lu Yuan's chest. Rascal, this is the study. Don't mess around. Chapter 369. Stinky brat, this is the study room, don't mess around. Looking at the heat in Lu Yuan's eyes, Chihiro Snow was shocked. She was very familiar with this stinky brat's gaze. Last time in the hotel in Soto City, when he ate her, he had the same gaze. It was hot and full of aggression. Oh, Cher, do you mean that I can mess around in the study room? Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows and said, Then let's go to your bedroom now. Lu Yuan carried Chihiro Snow and looked like he was about to walk out. Hey, stinky brat, wait. Seeing this, Chihiro Snow quickly said. Lu Yuan slowly stopped. What's wrong, Cher, is there a problem? Lu Yuan asked in a low voice. It's still daytime now, it's not convenient. Let's wait for night. Chihiro Snow whispered with a blush on her face. In fact, after being intimate with Lu Yuan for so long, she also wanted to do it. But she was a girl after all, and her skin was thin, so she was embarrassed to say it. Then let's wait for night. Looking at Chihiro Snow's blushing expression, Lu Yuan couldn't help but smile. He didn't have that intention. After all, this was the study room, and it was still daytime. It wasn't the time to do that kind of thing. He just wanted to tease Chihiro Snow, but he didn't expect Cher to say such words. It seemed that Chihiro Snow missed that kind of thing after being separated from him for so long. Looking at the slightly mischievous smile on Lu Yuan's face, Chihiro Snow's mind flashed, and she instantly understood Lu Yuan's thoughts. She couldn't help but punch Lu Yuan in embarrassment. "Stinky brat, you're playing with me again." This stinky brat obviously didn't have that kind of intention, but he still scared her and made her say such words uncontrollably. For a moment, Chihiro Snow was a little embarrassed. She actually took the initiative to say that night, "It was really embarrassing. This stinky brat is really bad." She immediately looked at Lu Yuan with a pair of beautiful eyes. After being punched by Chihiro Snow, Lu Yuan wasn't angry. He just smiled and said, "Cher, don't forget what you said." "Me." Chihiro Snow snorted proudly, and slightly tilted her head to the side. "All right, don't be angry. I'm here with you." As Lu Yuan spoke, he sat down on a chair and placed Chen Renshue on his lap. His left hand wrapped around Chen Renshue's waist, allowing her to lean into his embrace. "What? Give it to me." After hearing Lu Yuan say that he had a gift for her, Chihiro Snow immediately stretched out her hand and placed it in front of Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan smiled and gently grabbed Chihiro Snow's hand with his right hand. He gently rubbed it and asked, "Cher, you've been stuck at rank 59 for a few months, right?" "Yes." Chihiro Snow nodded gently. Although she was an absolute genius with full soul power at rank 20, it still took some time for her to break through from rank 59 to rank 60, which was the bottleneck between Soul King and Soul Emperor. "The gift I'm giving you can help you break through the bottleneck between Soul King and Soul Emperor," Lu Yuan said. "Oh." Chihiro Snow was a little surprised. She blinked her beautiful eyes slightly, and seemed to have thought of something. She said, "Is this the herb you got from Douluo? The frenzy rhino Douluo told you?" Lu Yuan asked as he gently rubbed Chihiro Snow's snow-white skin. "Why are you still asking if you know?" Chihiro Snow didn't deny it. Instead, she admitted it openly. "Sigh, I knew that the frenzy rhino Douluo wasn't reliable. He's clearly a spy that you planted beside me. He's helping you monitor what I'm doing at all times." Lu Yuan sighed softly and said, "What's wrong? Are you angry?" Chihiro Snow gently caressed Lu Yuan's face and said, "Rascal, I really don't have any intention of monitoring you. I just can't help but want to know what you're doing sometimes. After all, you're often not by my side. I can only find out a little about you through the frenzy rhino Douluo. I'm not angry. I'm not that petty. I just don't like the feeling of being watched. Furthermore, the frenzy rhino Douluo is your grandfather's subordinate. Cher, I'll be honest with you. Don't be angry. I actually don't like your grandfather very much. If not for you, I wouldn't even bother to look at him." Lu Yuan observed Chihiro Snow's expression as he spoke. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Chihiro Snow fell silent. The hand that was caressing Lu Yuan's face paused slightly. Her beautiful eyes were a little complicated as she looked at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan lifted his right hand slightly and grabbed Chihiro Snow's hand again. He asked softly, "Cher, are you angry?" "I'm not angry." Under Lu Yuan's gaze, Chihiro Snow slowly shook her head. She straightened her body slightly and cupped Lu Yuan's face with her hands. She said, "Rascal, can you promise me something? Tell me. As long as I can do it, I'll promise you." Lu Yuan had a sincere expression on his face as he spoke. "I know that my grandfather might have done something wrong. However, he's still my grandfather. He raised me since I was young. He cared for me, cherished me, and cared for me. Stinking brat, if there's any unpleasantness between you and that old man, can you take a step back for my sake? After all, one of you is my only family member, and the other is my only lover. I really don't want to see the two of you meet on the battlefield one day. Rascal, can you promise me?" Chihiro Snow stared straight at Lu Yuan, her eyes filled with anticipation and a pleading expression on her face. Seeing Chihiro Snow's pleading expression, Lu Yuan smiled and said, "I promise you, share. I'll do my best to restrain myself. As long as your grandfather doesn't touch my bottom line, I'll take the initiative to take a step back no matter what the situation is." "Thank you, rascal." Chihiro Snow's eyes were filled with gratitude as she forcefully threw herself into Lu Yuan's embrace. Her beautiful face was tightly pressed against Lu Yuan's cheek. Lu Yuan gently patted Chihiro Snow's back as the light in his jewel pupils changed. He naturally wouldn't take the initiative to make things difficult for Sendryu, but he was afraid that one day his relationship with Jiyu Uena would be exposed, especially if Jiyu Uena's identity as the Silver Dragon King was known by the gods. At that time, there might be conflict between him and Sendryu. After all, how could the blood feud between gods and soul beasts be resolved so easily? At that time, there might be gods who would descend to the mortal realm to kill Jiyu Uena. In order to protect Jiyu Uena, Lu Yuan was destined to become enemies with the gods. The angel god, as a lord god, might also become enemies with Lu Yuan. As the angel god's messenger, Lu Yuan might also become enemies with Sendryu. However, this was also one of the guesses. It was also possible that by the time Chihiro Snow became a god, Jiyu Uena's identity wouldn't be known by the gods. At that time, Sendryu would already be dead, and the so-called conflict wouldn't exist. Thus, agreeing to Chihiro Snow's compromise was actually not a big deal. Chapter 370. Lu Yuan wasn't afraid of any enemy, but he was afraid of Chihiro Snow being sandwiched between the two of them, which would make things difficult for him. Therefore, for Chihiro Snow, he was willing to make some sacrifices, such as calling Sendryu grandpa. Although he didn't like Sendryu, of course, it was still fine for now. At most, there would only be some conflict between Sendryu and Bibidon, which was still within a controllable range. Therefore, he only needed to let Jiyu Uena hide her identity and not expose it too early. His right hand gently brushed Chihiro Snow's golden hair and raised Chihiro Snow's beautiful face. Lu Yuan smiled and said, "Share, look, these are the 2 immortal herbs for you." Lu Yuan slightly stretched out his hand, and the astral ring lit up, and the 2 herbs appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. One was snow-white in color, and it was a snow-white Lingji mushroom. On the surface of the Lingji mushroom, there was a snowflower imprint, and the entire Lingji mushroom was emitting a cold qi. However, the cold qi of this Lingji mushroom was very gentle, and it wasn't harsh. Instead, it gave off a pure and gentle feeling. The other was a pure golden herb, and there seemed to be a golden flame burning at the top of its leaves. The golden light sprinkled down, and a pure yang qi was emitted, giving people a warm feeling. As soon as these 2 immortal herbs appeared, the entire study room was instantly filled with a strange fragrance. Moreover, the snow-white Lingji and the pure golden herb seemed to have some kind of resonance between them. Their auras began to slowly intertwine together. Seeing the 2 herbs in Lu Yuan's hand, Chihiro Snow couldn't help but ask softly, "This is?" The snow-white Lingji mushroom is the serene snow Lingji, and the pure golden herb is the dazzling gold mysterious yang herb. These 2 herbs contain pure yin and yang energy respectively, and are the famous yin-yang immortal herbs. Just one of these 2 herbs is enough to help you break through the bottleneck. If you consume both of them together, the yin and yang will merge into one, and the medicinal effects will multiply. Who knows, your martial soul might evolve under their effect. Lu Yuan smiled. These 2 immortal grasses were actually similar to the star anise mysterious ice grass and the blazing delicate apricot. However, the difference was that the star anise mysterious ice grass and the blazing delicate apricot were both icefire immortal grasses. They could also be considered as poisonous grasses. When combined, the icefire body refinement would greatly enhance the physique. As for the serene snow exquisite Ganoderma and the brilliant gold mysterious sungrass, they were immortal herbs that contained pure yin and pure yang energy. Not only were their energies extremely gentle, they were also easier to absorb. At the same time, the medicinal effects of the fusion of yin and yang were even greater than those of the previous 2 herbs. The most obvious was the ability to transform people. Lu Yuan wasn't lying when he said that Chihiro Snow's martial soul might evolve after consuming it. "Really? Stinking brat, You're not lying to me, are you? Chihiro Snow's eyes were filled with shock. One had to know that her martial soul was the god-tier 6-winged angel. She was born with a full rank 20 soul power. These two immortal herbs actually had the ability to make it evolve. If someone else said this, Chihiro Snow definitely wouldn't believe it. However, since Lu Yuan said so, with this stinking brat's personality, he definitely wouldn't lie. This was why Chihiro Snow was so shocked. How could these two small herbs have such great abilities? Even if I were to lie to anyone, I wouldn't lie to my beloved Cher. Whether it's effective or not, won't you know once you try it? Lu Yuan smiled faintly. All right then. Chihiro Snow took the two immortal herbs from Lu Yuan's hands and carefully examined them. Then prepare to absorb them. I'll protect you. Lu Yuan smiled and gently let go of Chihiro Snow before standing up. Lu Yuan, how do I eat this? Chihiro Snow asked. There's no special way to eat it. Just chew it directly. Lu Yuan said. Oh. Chihiro Snow picked up the two herbs. She didn't mind that they were dirty. She sat cross-legged on the floor of the study and slowly ate the two herbs according to Lu Yuan's method. After that, she closed her beautiful eyes and started to absorb the soul power of the two herbs. Seeing that Chihiro Snow had started to absorb the energy of the herbs, Lu Yuan sat down on Chihiro Snow's chair and pulled two pieces of white paper from the table. He picked up the pen on the table and gently sketched on the white paper. Since he wanted to invite the 7 treasures glazed sect into his trap, it was necessary to make some soul tools in advance. Before making any soul tools, Lu Yuan had to design the soul tools and see what kind of soul tools he needed to make. Protective soul barrier. What level should I make of this thing? Make it a class 5 one. If it's too high, I can't use it, and it's not easy to display it. Soul pistol. It can shoot soul rays. It's quite powerful. It's light and easy to carry. Make one class 4 and class 5. A flying type soul tool. A class 4 soul tool should be enough. A class 4 soul tool can fly very quickly. Furthermore, there aren't many soul masters who can fly on the Douluo continent apart from flying type soul masters. Even a soul sage like Zhao Wuji can't fly. A close combat soul tool. Make it a sword. It can store some of the power of ice and fire. When it's unleashed, it'll be quite powerful. A class 5 soul tool should be enough. A portable stationary soul cannon. This thing should be a class 6 one. When it's unleashed, it'll be very powerful. I'm not afraid that Ning Fengji won't be tempted. Although this thing consumes soul power, I only need to design a device to store soul power. After that, I'll equip it with a few milk bottles. Lu Yuan muttered to himself as he drew. Time was limited, and he only had a few days of free time. Therefore, he couldn't make many soul tools. A class 6 soul tool was slightly more complicated, and required more time to make. Therefore, a portable stationary soul cannon was enough. As for the other class 4 and class 5 soul tools, it should be enough. However, he wanted to make it as broad as possible. He wanted to include defense, offense, flight, and recovery as much as possible. He was so well prepared that he wasn't afraid that Ning Fengji wouldn't be tempted. This thing was much better than Tang San's hidden weapons. The most powerful hidden weapon that Tang San could make right now was the Zhuge repeating crossbow. The power of this thing might not even be comparable to a soul pistol. As long as a soul ancestor activated a defensive soul skill, they would be able to block it. However, this might not be the case for a soul pistol. Its penetrative power was extremely strong. Furthermore, its rays had corrosive properties. If a soul ancestor wasn't especially adept at defense, they might not be able to block it. Furthermore, there were other soul tools. For example, a portable stationary soul cannon. When it was unleashed, even a soul emperor would be severely injured. It was definitely very powerful. After finishing the blueprint for the stationary soul cannon, Lu Yuan glanced at Chihiro Snow out of habit. Chihiro Snow was at a critical stage of absorbing energy. Her body flickered with a holy golden light. An indescribable noble and dignified aura was released from her body. Chapter 371. Originally, Chihiro Snow's six-winged angel martial soul was already very holy and majestic, but now, the holy power revealed by Chihiro Snow's body had already surpassed the scope of the six-winged angel. In that majestic golden light, Lu Yuan felt a kind of pressure that he hadn't felt for a long time, a kind of pressure that came from the level of martial souls. This kind of pressure could only be given by martial souls of the same level. When they were young, Chihiro Snow's six-winged angel was similar in quality to Lu Yuan's golden dragon. At that time, the six-winged angel gave Lu Yuan a lot of pressure. And ever since he obtained the clear air divine seed, his bloodline began to slowly transform and evolve. When he met Chihiro Snow again in Soto City, Chihiro Snow's six-winged angel couldn't give Lu Yuan any pressure at all. Instead, Lu Yuan's golden dragon martial soul faintly suppressed Chihiro Snow's six-winged angel martial soul. Because at that time, Lu Yuan's golden dragon martial soul had already slowly transformed and reached a new height. The quality of his martial soul had increased by a lot, and it was no longer comparable to the six-winged angel. But now, from the golden light on Chihiro Snow's body, Lu Yuan felt a sense of threat from a martial soul of the same level. It was an aura that was comparable to the current golden dragon martial soul. It seems that I was right. Cher's six-winged angel has already begun to transform with the help of the two yin-yang immortal grasses, the hidden snow exquisite Ganoderma and the brilliant gold mysterious sun grass. Lu Yuan muttered to himself with a smile on his face. To him, the stronger Chihiro Snow became, the better. If his martial soul completed its evolution, Chihiro Snow's talent would rise to another level, and he would definitely be much stronger than in the original work. Cher's fifth soul ring seems to be around 25,000 years. If it hadn't evolved, the sixth soul ring would be at most 40,000 years, less than 50,000 years. After the evolution, the sixth soul ring should be more than 50,000 years. Lu Yuan thought to himself. After all, in the original novel, Chihiro Snow's soul rings were black, red, and gold after he became a god, and after passing the final test, the soul rings of the inheritors would all increase by 50,000 years, just like Tang-san in the original novel. According to this, Chihiro Snow's sixth soul ring in the original novel should be less than 50,000 years. After all, although the six-winged angel was a divine-ranked martial soul, it wasn't good at physique. It was more powerful in the power of holy light and flames, and it was good at energy attacks. Therefore, it was naturally incomparable to Lu Yuan, who possessed the golden dragon martial soul. Cher is destined to become stronger than in the original work. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Since his arrival, among his women, Hulena and Zhu Zhuqing had been strengthened. Hulena's martial soul had changed from a demon fox to a nine-tailed celestial fox, and Zhu Zhuqing's martial soul had changed from a nether civet to a nine-lives lynx. Zhu Zhuqing, in particular, was now much stronger than in the original novel. In the original novel, she probably wasn't a soul elder at this time, but now, Zhu Zhuqing had already broken through rank 40. She only needed to polish her soul power a bit to obtain her fourth soul ring. In addition to the right leg bone of the 100,000-year blue-silver emperor that Lu Yuan had given her, it wouldn't be a dream for her to obtain a fourth soul ring in 10,000 years. Even Jiyu Yuena could recover from her injuries and strength 20,000 years earlier with the help of the life spirit crystal and the secret of one. Moreover, with the secret of one, once she recovered to her peak strength, she would definitely be able to challenge and even defeat a god king. There was no doubt that the secret of one was that powerful. It was just that it was difficult to comprehend it, and it would take some time to comprehend it to a higher level. On the other hand, even though Lu Yuan had helped Qian Renxue secure her position as the crown princess, he hadn't been able to help Qian Renshue's strength much. The soul bones in her body weren't suitable for her either. Therefore, Qian Renshue's strength hadn't improved significantly. However, now that she had the nether snow exquisite Ganoderma and the brilliant gold mysterious sungrass, Chihiro Snow's strength was about to soar. A martial soul stronger than the six-winged angel was about to appear. Golden light began to spread from Chihiro Snow's body, and a holy aura began to circulate. It continued to fill the entire study room, and even gradually spread out of the study room. Lu Yuan frowned when he saw this. Light flashed in his hand, and the vast sea cosmic shroud spun in his hand. A brilliant blue light enveloped both Lu Yuan and Chihiro Snow. With the vast sea cosmic shroud, he wasn't afraid that Chihiro Snow's holy aura would leak out of the study room and cause any disturbances. After all, Chihiro Snow's identity still had to be concealed. He couldn't let go of even the slightest disturbance. Otherwise, all his previous efforts would be wasted. Lu Yuan's eyes narrowed. He could clearly sense that Chihiro Snow's aura was rising continuously. Apart from the aura released by the evolution of her martial soul, her soul power was also continuously improving. It had already broken through the bottleneck of rank 60, and was still accumulating power. Although she couldn't advance in rank without a soul ring, her soul power could still be accumulated. This was especially so when the Nethersnow exquisite Ganoderma and the brilliant gold mysterious sungrass were fused together. The medicinal effects of these two herbs even exceeded that of the yearning heartbroken grass. Chihiro Snow's soul power couldn't stop at just increasing by 1 rank. Lu Yuan estimated that Chihiro Snow would be at least rank 65 after she finished absorbing and obtained her 6th soul ring. This was the power of the fusion of yin and yang. Her aura was still rising, and it finally stopped at a certain peak. Chihiro Snow suddenly opened her eyes. There were balls of golden flames burning in her golden eyes, and a powerful and holy aura surged out like a tide toward Lu Yuan. Her aura is comparable to that of a high-level soul sage. Lu Yuan didn't move as he experienced the powerful holy aura. However, his eyes sparkled. Chihiro Snow's strength had caught up to his again. Unlike Liu Erlong, whose aura was suppressed by Lu Yuan, it would be difficult for Lu Yuan to defeat Chihiro Snow if she didn't use her polychoria. This was especially true for the angel domain. It was a little difficult to deal with it without using polychoria. Perhaps he could break it with the second move of the sea god's halberd, the thousand-year spacetime. However, Lu Yuan was still researching this move, and wasn't very familiar with it. Deep and mysterious Sanskrit sounds could be heard. The angel martial soul slowly appeared behind Chihiro Snow and exuded a holy aura. However, what caught Lu Yuan's attention wasn't the holy aura. Instead, it was the 8 snow-white wings behind the beautiful angel. 8-winged angel? A look of understanding flashed across Lu Yuan's eyes. Indeed, Chihiro Snow's 6-winged angel martial soul had successfully evolved with the help of the yin-yang immortal grass. It had transformed into an 8-winged angel. After all, the number of wings an angel martial soul had represented its rank. The 6-winged angel was a god-ranked martial soul, while the 12-winged angel was a god-ranked martial soul. The 8-winged angel was slowly surpassing god-ranked martial souls. Chapter 372. It was the same as his golden dragon. However, unlike angelic martial souls, golden dragon martial souls couldn't be categorized based on the number of wings they had. Prior to reaching the golden dragon king level, a golden dragon martial soul would only experience an increase in aura and pressure, but its appearance wouldn't undergo any major changes. The golden flames in Chihiro Snow's eyes slowly faded away, replaced by a pair of calm eyes. There was a hint of joy in her eyes as she looked at Lu Yuan with affection. Share. Lu Yuan slowly walked forward in the face of Chihiro Snow's aura. Chihiro Snow's aura was very strong, but it was impossible to stop Lu Yuan. If she didn't use her dual pupils, the result would be hard to say. However, her mere aura wasn't enough to affect Lu Yuan. How do you feel? Lu Yuan asked softly as he walked in front of Chen Renxue and gently brushed the hair on her forehead. Chihiro Snow smiled. I feel great. My soul power has reached rank 60, and my 6-winged angel martial soul seems to have broken through the limit. It's now an 8-winged angel. Then what other changes have your martial soul undergone besides the 2 extra wings? Lu Yuan asked. Yes, the power of holy and light has become stronger. The one that has improved the most is the fire attribute. Originally, the power of fire attribute was inferior to the power of light attribute. However, the fire attribute seems to have undergone a transformation. It is no longer inferior to the power of light attribute, Chen Renxue said. Oh! Lu Yuan's interest was piqued. Show me a skill. I want to see how much your fire element has changed. Okay. Qian Renxue casually waved her hand, and the scorching golden flames that contained the extreme power of light drifted towards a chair not far away. Instantly, the chair was reduced to ashes. Oh! What a powerful fire-type ability. Shui, if I'm not wrong, your fire-type ability has probably been raised to an extreme level. Now, your angel martial soul should have another type of ultimate fire attribute, Lu Yuan said. The six-winged seraphim originally controlled holy, light, and fire-type powers. Needless to say, the power of the holy element was abnormally strong, while the power of the light element had also reached an extreme level. Only the fire type was weaker, but now that the fire type had been raised to the level of ultimate fire, the power of Qian Renxue's martial soul had increased significantly. The eight-winged angel controlled holy power, ultimate light, and ultimate fire. Apart from Lu Yuan's golden dragon, no other martial soul in the Douluo continent could compare to it. Even the sea god's martial soul, which was also a god-ranked martial soul, couldn't compare to the eight-winged angel. Ultimate fire? Qian Renxue was pleasantly surprised. It seemed that after her martial soul had evolved, she had gained yet another amazing ability. And all of this was brought to him by this stinky fellow in front of him. When are you going to hunt for soul rings? You've reached rank 60 now, so you can start preparing. With the strength of your martial soul and your physique, you can withstand a 50,000-year soul ring. Lu Yuan placed his hands on Chihiro Snow's waist and asked gently, "There's no hurry. I still have some things to settle, so I can't leave for the time being. Furthermore, you have to establish your own organization. Wait for a while. When the time comes, I want you to accompany me to hunt for soul rings, you bastard." Chihiro Snow withdrew his martial soul and quietly lay in Lu Yuan's arms as he spoke. "All right, since Cher has such a request, I'll definitely do it." Lu Yuan buried his head in Chihiro Snow's golden hair and smiled faintly. "Bastard, what are you doing?" Chihiro Snow couldn't help but ask when she saw Lu Yuan's right hand extend 5 sharp claws and carve on a piece of heavy silver. Crafting a soul tool. The most important thing for a soul tool is its soul array. This is the foundation for a soul tool to operate. Since you've reached rank 60, I'll make you a Class 6 close combat soul tool, the Holy Sword. Infuse it with the power of holiness, light, and fire. With your martial soul, its power will definitely multiply, Lu Yuan said with a smile as he casually placed the engraved piece of heavy silver to the side. "At least you still have a conscience." Seeing that Lu Yuan was so concerned about her, Chihiro Snow's heart was filled with sweetness. However, as proud as she was, even if she was happy in her heart, she always liked to put on a brave front. Hee. Gently pinching Chihiro Snow's tender cheeks, Lu Yuan picked up another piece of heavy silver and began to carve. "How many soul arrays are needed to craft this holy sword?" Chihiro Snow asked. "Well, when I designed it, it should be 81. With 81 soul arrays as the core, and a soul bone as the main body, supplemented with some precious rare metals, a holy sword is created," Lu Yuan said. "A soul bone as the main body? Isn't that a bit wasteful?" Chihiro Snow looked at Lu Yuan with a trace of shock in her eyes. Soul bones were treasures. Even the martial soul palace didn't have many of them. They were usually used as rewards for geniuses. Lu Yuan was actually extravagant enough to use a soul bone as a weapon. "What soul beast's soul bone is this?" Chihiro Snow asked. "A radiant blazing lion. It should be around 10,000 years old," Lu Yuan said as he carved. "Using a 10,000-year soul bone as a weapon? Stinky guy, when did you become so rich?" Chihiro Snow asked. Even in the martial soul palace, a 10,000-year soul bone was a treasure. Even the golden generation didn't seem to have received one. Lu Yuan actually used the soul bone of a 10,000-year radiant blazing lion to make a weapon for her. She was quite touched, but logic told her that a soul bone was very precious and shouldn't be wasted like this. "Stinky guy, forget it. A 10,000-year soul bone is too precious. It's too wasteful to use it to make a weapon for me," Chihiro Snow said. "Furthermore, don't you still need to establish a force? This soul bone can be used to buy people's hearts." As long as it's for you, not to mention 10,000 years, even if it's 50,000 years, it won't be wasted. Furthermore, I don't lack soul bones now. Lu Yuan gently waved his left hand, and 6 soul bones that were overflowing with light appeared in front of Chihiro Snow. These were Tang Hao's 6 soul bones. Only the right leg bone of the 100,000-year blue-silver emperor was left in Lu Yuan's star ring. This was to be given to Zhu Zhuqing, so he didn't take it out to prevent Chihiro Snow from getting jealous. Stinky guy, where did you get so many soul bones? Chihiro Snow's eyes were filled with shock as he looked at the 6 soul bones in front of him. The quality of each of these soul bones wasn't bad. The 10,000-year radiant blazing lion soul bone was actually the lowest quality. There were so many 10,000-year soul bones. After the martial soul palace took them out, the 10,000-year soul bone inventory would be reduced by a third. Especially the dark green leg bone and the black arm bone, their quality was extremely high. Although they were slightly inferior to the soul bones of her angel set, they weren't too far off. Chapter 373. This is Tang Hao's soul bone, Lu Yuan said softly. Tang Hao's soul bone? Chihiro Snow's voice suddenly rose an octave. Is it that Tang Hao, the vast sky Douluo? Yes. Lu Yuan nodded and said. Since you have Tang Hao's soul bone, then what about him? Chihiro Snow reacted and looked at Lu Yuan with shock in his eyes. Did you kill him? That's right. With the Dragon Emperor Douluo around, it would be easy for you to kill Tang Hao. Chihiro Snow said softly. Why? Isn't it good to kill him? Lu Yuan looked at Chihiro Snow's shocked expression and smiled. Of course it's good to kill him. It's just that Tang Hao is too famous. When I heard that you killed him, I was a little shocked. Tang Hao has always been a great enemy of our martial soul palace. His death is indeed a good thing for our martial soul palace. Chihiro Snow said. Furthermore, my father was severely injured by Tang Hao. He died not long after returning to the martial soul palace. You killed Tang Hao, which can be considered as avenging my father. Bastard, thank you. Chihiro Snow suddenly leaned over and kissed Lu Yuan's face gently. Take this as my reward for you. Qian Renshue's charming face carried a smile. Lu Yuan's eyes flickered when he saw Chihiro Snow's smile after hearing that Tang Hao was dead. There was a strange look on his face. Cher really knows how to think. Even if he did kill Tang Hao, it has nothing to do with Chihiro disease. Avenging her father? If that old bastard was still alive, Lu Yuan would be the first to skin him alive after what he did to Bibidon. Avenging him? Only Cher could think of something like that. Actually, I didn't kill Tang Hao. It was a bit of a coincidence that I got this soul bone, Lu Yuan said. Oh. Chihiro Snow said with an inquisitive look on his face. Seeing Chihiro Snow's expression, Lu Yuan smiled and slowly began to explain. So, Tang Hao was killed by the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape, and it has nothing to do with me. I just picked up something. After Tang Hao died, I collected his soul bone, so it's like I picked it up for free, Lu Yuan said softly. He had basically described everything that had happened. Apart from his relationship with the Sky Azure Bull Python, he didn't hide anything, including Xiao Wu's identity. In any case, Xiao Wu was in Di Tian's territory right now, so she couldn't be in danger. Even Long Xiaoyao couldn't beat Di Tian, let alone others. So that's what happened. Chihiro Snow nodded with a relieved look on her face. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something. There was a strange look on her face as she said, according to what you're saying, doesn't the Great Star Doe Forest have 300,000-year soul beasts, and one of them is a soft bone rabbit in its infancy? Cher, aren't you overthinking things again? Seeing Chihiro Snow's expression, he knew what Chihiro Snow was thinking. He was thinking about Xiao Wu's soul ring. After all, when a soul master heard that there was a 100,000-year soul beast in its infancy, his first reaction would be to kill it and take its soul ring. Chihiro Snow was no exception. Cher, promise me one thing. Don't think about going to the Great Star Doe Forest to hunt a 100,000-year soul beast, and don't think about sending people to the Great Star Doe Forest to capture that 100,000-year soft bone rabbit. Lu Yuan's expression was a little serious as he looked into Chihiro Snow's eyes. Why? Chihiro Snow's eyes were full of confusion. Isn't 100,000-year soul beast the easiest to deal with? What does this bastard mean by saying this? I'm doing this for your own good. The Great Star Do Forest is very deep, especially in the core region. There's an incredible soul beast there, and it's abnormally strong. Let's not talk about others. Even if your grandfather personally went to the core region of the Great Star Do Forest, he would perish there. Don't let greed blind you. Lu Yuan's expression was serious as he spoke. This wasn't a lie. It wasn't like the original novel, where many savage beasts went into hibernation to absorb the Sky Dream Iceworm's origin energy. Savage beasts were very active in the core region now, especially Di Tian. He was comparable to a demigod after using the dragon god's claw. If Sendryu went there, he might not be able to survive. After all, even Long Xiaoyao couldn't beat Di Tian, let alone Sendryu, who was even weaker than Long Xiaoyao. He would definitely be beaten by Di Tian. In addition, Sendryu had the aura of a god. If he angered Jiyu Yuana, who was recovering from her injuries, she might even kill Sendryu with a single slap. Although it was very unlikely that Jiyu Yuana would make a move because she wanted to hide her identity, it wasn't impossible. After all, Jiyu Yuana's hatred for gods was very deep. Furthermore, due to his relationship with the Sky Azure Bull Python and the others, he wouldn't sit by and watch them be hunted down. Bastard, are you telling the truth? You're not lying to me, are you? Chihiro Snow's face was filled with astonishment. There's such a powerful soul beast in the Great Star Do Forest. If you don't believe me, you can ask your grandfather to take a stroll in the core region of the Great Star Do Forest. Of course, if he dies there, don't blame me for not warning you. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Pitui, what are you talking about, you bastard? Chihiro Snow glared at Lu Yuan. If this bastard was telling the truth, then wouldn't her grandfather be doomed if he went to the core region of the Great Star Do Forest? Was this bastard looking forward to her grandfather's death? He was really full of evil intentions. Hihi, don't take it so seriously. I'm just joking. I just want to tell you that you shouldn't go to the Great Star Do Forest to hunt 100,000-year soul beasts in the future. It's very dangerous, especially in the core region. It's best if you don't set foot there. Lu Yuan looked into Chihiro Snow's eyes and spoke seriously. After all, the Bear Lord was guarding the entrance to the core region. Ever since he had been beaten up, he hadn't learned anything else, but he was good at scheming. He was only half a step into the ultimate soul stage, but his attacking strength was at the ultimate soul stage. Even Long Xiaoyao had been ambushed by him. If it were any other titled Douluo, he would have killed them with a single swipe of his claws. Even the golden crocodile wasn't a match for the Bear Lord. Lu Yuan didn't want to see the martial Soul Palace suffer heavy casualties. The Bear Lord was only there to trick Tang San, not his own people. Also, Cher, don't worry about not having 100,000-year soul ring. I promise you that I'll get you 100,000-year soul ring for your 8th soul ring. Lu Yuan said. Are you serious? You're not lying to me, are you? Chihiro Snow blinked her beautiful eyes gently. She looked at Lu Yuan with a doubtful look in her eyes. Is this bastard bragging? Don't worry, I won't lie to you. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Wasn't this simple? He just had to find 100,000-year soul beast to sacrifice to Chihiro Snow when she reached her 8th soul ring. He just had to ask Jiyu Yuana for help when the time came. It was very simple. Of course, the prerequisite was that Lu Yuan had to settle the relationship between Jiyu Yuana and Chihiro Snow before that. Otherwise, he would lose everything. Chapter 374. 3 days later. Morning. Inside Chihiro Snow's bedroom, Lu Yuan slowly opened his eyes and smiled as he looked at Chihiro Snow, who was sleeping soundly in his arms. Lu Yuan gently brushed the strands of golden hair on Chihiro Snow's forehead and felt a sense of pity when he saw the redness that remained on her face. Cher must be exhausted from last night. Sigh, the golden dragon's bloodline is getting stronger and stronger, and his abilities are also getting stronger and stronger. Chihiro Snow can't deal with him alone. Lu Yuan gently lifted his right hand, and white light burst forth from his palm and slowly entered Chihiro Snow's body. This clear energy was the purest, and had a miraculous effect on recovery. It was very suitable for nourishing Chihiro Snow's body. Of course, the vast ocean's power was also very effective in healing. After all, water itself was used to nourish all things. However, why didn't he use the vast ocean's power? It was because the vast ocean's power clashed with Chihiro Snow's 8-winged angel's ultimate fire. Therefore, it was better not to use it. The clear energy contained all things, so there wasn't such a problem. Moreover, he also discovered an interesting phenomenon. These few nights when they were doing that kind of thing, he always found that Qian Renxue would secretly absorb the clear qi and divine energy that he inadvertently emitted. This made Lu Yuan secretly pay attention to the movement of this clear qi and divine energy. After 3 nights of observation, he realized that the clear qi and divine energy that Qian Renxue had absorbed seemed to have fused into the depths of her bloodline. After fusing with the clear qi and divine energy, her bloodline seemed to have undergone some strange changes. Could Chihiro Snow's angelic bloodline be like his golden dragon's bloodline, and be able to transform under the nourishment of the clear energy? This wasn't impossible. Since Chihiro Snow's martial soul had already evolved from a 6-winged angel to an 8-winged angel, it meant that she had already broken through the restrictions of the 6-winged angel bloodline. Since she had already broken through the restrictions, it meant that it had the possibility of evolving again. It just needed an external force to push it forward, and the clear energy was a very suitable force. It seems like Cher's 8-winged angel has a chance to evolve again. It just needs my clear energy to push it forward, Lu Yuan thought to himself. Although a god-tier martial soul is powerful, it is, in fact, a limitation. If Shui was still a 6-winged angel, then the greatest achievement she could achieve in her life would be to become a 6-winged angel god. But now that her bloodline has improved and she has received the inheritance again, becoming an angel god, Shui may have the ability to raise her position as an angel god to a higher level. It's not that the divine position can't be increased, it's just that it's very difficult. The current Shui has the potential. Lu Yuan muttered in his heart. If Chihiro Snow could raise her current 8-winged angel martial soul to the 12-winged angel realm, then she might have the ability to raise the 6-winged angel god's divine position to the 12-winged angel god's divine position, an existence comparable to a god king. God King level powerhouses were considered top-tier powerhouses on the Douluo continent and even in the entire God realm. There were only 5 of them in the entire God realm. Cher is destined to surpass senior sister and Zhu Qing by a large margin. Lu Yuan shook his head and sighed. Even though Hu Lena and Zhu Zhuqing had improved a lot, in terms of talent, they were still inferior to Chihiro Snow. If Chihiro Snow could continue to grow, his future achievements would not be inferior to Jiyu Yuana's. Her 6th soul ring has to be at least 50,000 years old, and her 7th soul ring can absorb 70 to 80,000 years old without a problem. Her 8th soul ring should be able to absorb a 100,000-year-old soul ring. Even if I don't help Shui with her personality, she won't give up on soul rings. She'll definitely find an opportunity to kill a 100,000-year soul beast. Compared to hunting, a sacrifice is better. Killing a soul beast will result in true death, but sacrificing it will give you a chance of resurrection. There should be no lack of 100,000-year-old soul beasts in the Great Stardow Forest that are nearing the end of their lifespan. Sacrificing them to Cher will not only allow them to escape death, but also allow her to resurrect them when she becomes a god. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. As for her 9th soul ring, I remember there's something called a god-bestowed soul ring. With Cher's endurance, it shouldn't be difficult for her to obtain a vicious beast soul ring. With this in mind, Cher's soul ring should be more or less settled. Lu Yuan stroked his chin. Chihiro Snow's future soul rings were more or less settled. As for himself, he was a little troublesome, but he wasn't too worried. He would take it one step at a time. Just as Lu Yuan was deep in thought, a pair of flawless white jade-like arms wrapped around his neck. Qian Renshue's delicate body was tightly pressed against his chest. Their foreheads were lightly pressed together, and their cheeks were touching. They could hear each other's breaths. "What are you thinking about?" You're so engrossed in your thoughts. Chihiro Snow's red lips parted slightly, and a musky scent entered Lu Yuan's nose. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just thinking about your future soul ring combination. Lu Yuan smiled faintly and said. Hearing this, Chihiro Snow felt sweet in her heart, and her eyes were filled with deep affection. This stinky guy still has her in his heart. She wasn't infatuated with him in vain. Have you thought about it? Chihiro Snow asked. Almost. Lu Yuan gently stroked Chihiro Snow's long golden hair, and the clear chi divine power in his right hand was still released. Swear, with my divine power of clarity, do you feel anything out of the ordinary? Lu Yuan asked softly. Chihiro Snow closed her beautiful eyes slightly, feeling the changes in her body, and said, I feel warm and comfortable all over, and I feel that there seems to be something in the depths of my bloodline. The fluctuations of my angel bloodline have become much more active than before. It seems that my guess is right. Lu Yuan smiled faintly and told Chihiro Snow his guess. There's actually such a thing. Chihiro Snow's beautiful face was full of surprise, and her big golden eyes stared at Lu Yuan, her eyes full of strange light. Cher, why are you looking at me like that? Lu Yuan asked with some doubts after being stared at by Chihiro Snow. Stinky guy, I didn't expect your clear chi divine power to have such an ability. I've decided, you have to come and accompany me often in the future. You have to stay with me for at least 20 days every month, and the remaining 10 days will be given to Zhu Zhuqing. Chihiro Snow pretended to be generous and said. Hearing this, Lu Yuan had a strange look on his face and asked, Cher, are you sure you can bear 20 days a month? It's not like she doesn't know how strong I am. Did this girl forget about the matter of me begging for mercy last night? This Cher can't be going all out in order to evolve her martial spirit, right? This can't be, he can't bear to. Moreover, staying with her for at least 20 days a month, not to mention anything else, Zhu Zhuqing will definitely explode on the spot. A bowl of water has to be balanced, and can't be too biased. Chapter 375. It's okay if you can't take it. Anyway, your clear aura god power can recover quickly, Chihiro Snow said softly. Hearing this, Lu Yuan was speechless. Being able to recover quickly is the reason you're looking for abuse. What was this girl thinking about in her head? She's working too hard for the sake of evolving her martial soul. This is no different from self-harm. Stop fooling around, Cher. Even if you don't feel sorry for yourself, I do. Lu Yuan rubbed Chihiro Snow's head gently and said, the evolution of a martial soul can't be done in a day. Look, I've already had the clear aura god seed for more than 2 years. Although I've evolved a little, I'm still a golden dragon. I'm still far from the level of the golden dragon king. No matter how anxious you are, it's useless. The 12-winged angel is a god king level martial soul. How can it evolve so easily? Not to mention that you haven't even mastered the 8-winged angel yet. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Let's take it slow. Anyway, we're still young and have plenty of time to grow. It's better to be down to earth and not be too impatient. But Chihiro Snow's face showed a hint of reluctance. That's right. Knowing that the opportunity to evolve her martial soul was right in front of her, Chihiro Snow naturally couldn't bear to let it go. Humans were all greedy. When Lu Yuan first obtained the god-slaying spear, didn't he also want to control it immediately? However, for this kind of thing, being impatient wouldn't help. It was better to take one step at a time steadily. No buts. Chihiro Snow was only halfway through her words when she was interrupted by Lu Yuan. Be obedient, or I'll get angry. Lu Yuan said seriously with a straight face. All right. Looking at Lu Yuan's rare serious expression, Chihiro Snow had no choice but to retreat. Although Lu Yuan was very obedient and doting on her, when Lu Yuan was serious, Chihiro Snow was also a little afraid. That's a good girl. Lu Yuan gently kissed Chihiro Snow's red lips and said, you just got the 8-winged angel not long ago. You need to control and comprehend it yourself. You need to completely control it. Only when you have complete control of this martial soul will it evolve again. I will also send you a stream of clear chi divine power once a week to nourish your bloodline, maintain its activity, and let it slowly transform. You don't have to do that kind of thing. Although the effect of directly injecting it is a little worse, it is still useful. You can't joke around with your body. You know you can't take it, but you're still messing around. Although I really want to, I can control myself. It's okay for me to endure for a few days. Your body is the most important. Do you understand? Lu Yuan asked calmly. I understand. Chihiro Snow nodded gently, appearing very obedient. She was very touched. This bastard was so considerate of her. She even felt a little ashamed. Lu Yuan had always been the one making plans for her. She didn't help Lu Yuan much. Even Zhu Zhuqing was always by his side and supporting him. On the other hand, she couldn't help at all. Chihiro Snow felt a little disappointed. I'll be returning to the Blue Tyrant Academy later. According to the news, Liu Erlong has almost recovered. It's time for me to go back and hand over the academy to her, Lu Yuan said. You're going back so soon? Chihiro Snow looked at Lu Yuan with her golden eyes. There was a strong reluctance in her eyes. It's not like I'm not coming back. The Blue Tyrant Academy is in Heaven-Do City. It's very convenient for me to see you. Maybe you'll find someone else in your bed while you're sleeping. Lu Yuan teased. Go to hell, you bastard. You're so bad. Chihiro Snow retorted. Do you like it? Lu Yuan stroked Chihiro Snow's golden hair and slowly moved his right hand down. Stop messing around, you bastard. Chihiro Snow's face was slightly red. This bastard is so naughty. It's still early in the morning. Alright, I won't mess around. Cher, I need your help with something, Lu Yuan said softly. You want me to help you with the academy and reveal it to Ningfengji? Chihiro Snow asked. As expected of my Cher. You're so smart. Lu Yuan gently rubbed Chihiro Snow's cheek and said, now that the soul tools are almost done, it's time to let Ningfengji experience the power of soul tools. The Seven Treasures Glazed Sect is a big nouveau riche. We can't let them go. And Shuer, what do you think of the divine sword I made for you? Is it handy? I've been busy making soul tools these past few days. I didn't have time to test it with you, Lu Yuan said. It's very handy. With it, I feel like my strength has increased by quite a bit. The power of my soul skills has also increased by a lot. Especially my fifth soul skill, its power has more than doubled. Stinky guy, this sword you made really suits me, Qian Renxue said softly. It's good that it suits you. There was a smile on Lu Yuan's face as he said, although this divine sword is only class 6 right now, I actually left some leeway when I designed it. Once I become a soul engineer, it can be upgraded again. Therefore, you don't have to worry that it won't be able to keep up with your rank. I've already considered this point. Lu Yuan smiled. The divine sword was his most perfect creation. It was definitely a class 6 soul tool. When he became a soul engineer, it wouldn't be a problem for the divine sword to be upgraded to a class 7 soul tool. As for a class 8 soul tool, the chances of it being upgraded were slim. After all, the main body of the radiant explosive flaming tiger's soulbone was only 10,000 years old. Its rank was still a little low. However, class 7 was enough. After all, class 7 corresponded to the soul sage realm. When Chihiro Snow became a soul Douluo, he would have already accepted the angel god's test. He might even have completed a few tests. When that happened, the angel god's holy angel sword would be the most suitable for Chihiro Snow. It wouldn't be important whether he had this divine sword or not. You're always so considerate. Chihiro Snow's voice was gentle, and her face was full of smiles. This feeling of being cared for was really good. Chihiro Snow looked at Lu Yuan with her beautiful big eyes and asked curiously, "Oh right, what are you going to name your academy? It can't be called the Blue Tyrant Academy, right? Let's call it the Heavenly Star Academy. It means Heaven-Do and Star Luo. After all, these two empires are the targets of our conquest. We'll start with the Heavenly Star Academy and nurture our own talents and forces step by step. Then, we'll annex the two empires and unify the continent. Lu Yuan's tone was sonorous and carried a strong sense of confidence. Heavenly Star Academy? Good name. Chihiro Snow's lips curled up slightly. She looked at Lu Yuan with sparkling eyes. This was her man, ambitious and in high spirits. As she thought, Chihiro Snow couldn't help but hug Lu Yuan's neck even tighter. Chapter 376. 7 Treasures Glazed Sect. Ning Fengji carefully read the letter in his hand with an inexplicable expression on his face. Fengji, what did the Crown Prince say in the letter? The sword Douluo standing beside Ning Fengji couldn't help but ask. Hehe, it's considered good news. A very powerful kid has come to Heaven Do Imperial City again. Ning Fengji smiled and said. A very powerful kid. Could it be? The sword Douluo's eyes flickered. A kid that could make Fengji say was very powerful, then it could only be that youth. That Lu Yuan has come to Heaven Do Imperial City again? The sword Douluo asked with a trace of undetectable anger in his voice. Yes, not only did he come to Heaven Do Imperial City, but he also bought the original Blue Tyrant Academy. I heard that he's going to change its name to Heavenly Star Academy. The new Heavenly Star Academy will be officially established in 3 days. Ning Fengji smiled and said. Fengji, do you mean that we should go and congratulate him? The sword Douluo asked. Yes, this Lu Yuan's talent can be said to be unparalleled. I heard from Rong Rong that he's already a rank 40 soul ancestor before the age of 13. Furthermore, his soul rings are yellow, purple, and black, and he can even defeat a soul emperor. His talent can be said to be unparalleled in the world. Furthermore, he has an expert like the Dragon Emperor Douluo by his side. It's beneficial for us to be on good terms with him. Furthermore, Rong Rong seems to be. Right, where's Rong Rong? What is she doing now? Ning Fengji seemed to have thought of something and suddenly asked. Rong Rong is still in a daze, thinking about that stinking brat with the surname Lu. I don't know what charm that stinking brat has to make Rong Rong like this. Apart from cultivating all day, she's staring at the wall in a daze. She looks like she misses him deeply and has lost a lot of weight. Don't let me see that brat, or I'll definitely teach him a lesson. The sword Douluo said with some indignation. I'm also very angry about this, but Uncle Jian, can you beat the Dragon Emperor Douluo? Ning Fengji suddenly asked faintly. The sword Douluo, don't hit people in the face, don't expose people's shortcomings, understand? This was the resentment from the sword Douluo. This old man doesn't care so much. In any case, when this old man sees that stinking brat, I will definitely beat him up. The sword Douluo spoke in a resolute voice, as if he had cast aside everything for the greater good. The sword Douluo turned to Ning Fengji as he spoke, and said, Fengji, you have a part to play in this as well. You were the one who told Rong Rong about that stinky brat at Shrek Academy. Otherwise, Rong Rong wouldn't have gone to Shrek Academy. Rong Rong was only a little fond of that stinky brat, and he wasn't that deeply in love with her. Faced with the overbearing sword Douluo, Ning Fengji had no choice but to take a few steps back. He had no choice. Uncle Jian and Uncle Ji Yu were very impulsive when it came to Rong Rong. Faced with these two guardians, even Ning Fengji had to give in. Yes, I am also responsible for this matter. Isn't this a good opportunity? Why don't we take Rong Rong with us? As long as she sees that brat, Rong Rong will naturally be in a good mood, Ning Fengji said. That's fine too. I have to find that brat and ask him what's wrong with our Rong Rong. That stinking brat actually doesn't like her. This is ridiculous. The sword Douluo's tone was filled with dissatisfaction. Their Rong Rong was of noble birth, had a sweet appearance, and was quite talented. Most importantly, she liked that brat so much, but that brat actually didn't like her. How could the sword Douluo not be angry that Rong Rong missed him so much every day? Alright then, but Uncle Jian, you have to be careful when you speak. That brat is very arrogant, and it won't be good if both sides get into an argument, Ning Fengji reminded. This old man knows. I know what to do. The sword Douluo said indifferently. Although he was angry, he wasn't someone who didn't know when to back down. Helping Ning Rongrong to vent her anger was only one aspect. More importantly, he wanted to let Lu Yuan know how much Ning Rongrong loved him. He wanted to help Ning Rongrong. It could be said that the sword Douluo had put in a lot of effort for Ning Rongrong. Blue Tyrant Academy, or rather, the current Heavenly Star Academy. The current Heavenly Star Academy was decorated with lanterns and streamers, and huge banners could be seen everywhere in the campus. In the large field of the academy, many students of the academy had gathered. Lu Yuan, Liu Erlong and the others stood on the high platform, looking at the many students below the stage. Everyone, silence, Liu Erlong said loudly as she looked at the people who were whispering to each other. Liu Erlong's prestige was still sufficient. After all, she had been the dean for many years and had accumulated a lot of power. With a sentence, all the students immediately quieted down. Today, I have gathered everyone here to tell everyone one thing. Our former Blue Tyrant Academy has been purchased by this young Master Lu beside me, and has changed its name to Heavenly Star Academy. From now on, this young Master Lu will be the new principal of our academy. Now, I would like to invite our Principal Lu to give a speech. Facing the many students below the stage, Liu Erlong said loudly. Clap clap clap. A burst of sparse applause sounded, and Lu Yuan walked to the front of the stage. Lu Yuan's face was calm, and was not affected by the sparse applause at all. Suddenly changing a dean, and such a young one at that, it was normal for the students to not be able to accept it. However, Lu Yuan was not worried. After he finished speaking, he could guarantee that these students would be willing to accept him. Hello everyone, I am Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan's voice was not loud, but in the ears of the many students, it was like thunder, and they could not help but feel a chill in their hearts. This was because he used his soul power and qi and blood, plus some control of sound waves. After all, to make these students obedient, first, he had to shock them. It had to be said that Lu Yuan's move was very effective. At least the eyes of the students had changed. Not to mention other things, at least they knew that Lu Yuan's strength was definitely very strong. And to be the dean of an academy, without a certain level of strength, it was impossible. Seeing the changes in the eyes of the students, Lu Yuan's eyes flashed with a trace of satisfaction. It seemed that his preemptive show of strength had some effect. Your Dean Liu asked me to speak for you. Actually, I don't like to speak superficial words, but since I'm here, I will simply mention a few things that are actually related to everyone. As for the other nonsense, I won't say anything, and I think that everyone is too lazy to listen. I know that the students of our academy are basically from commoner families, and their income is limited. It is not easy to support your studies, so the first thing I want to say is related to this. From today onwards, all commoner students' tuition will be reduced by half, and half of the tuition fees that have already been collected will be refunded. As for the specific refund matters, the academy will have specialized personnel in charge, and the specifics will be based on each class. If you have any questions, you can look for your class teacher, and let them report to the academy, and the academy will quickly deal with it. Chapter 377. Then I'm going to talk about the second matter. Lu Yuan cleared his throat and said, the second matter is that the academy will set up scholarships and grants to help those with excellent grades and poor families. The specific conditions and requirements will be announced by the class teachers, and students who meet the requirements can apply. The third matter is that the academy will increase the number of part-time jobs. Not only will it satisfy the basic needs of the students, but it will also train the students' ability to take care of themselves. Now I'm going to talk about the last matter. From now on, the Heavenly Star Academy will have an inner courtyard and an outer courtyard. The inner courtyard students will enjoy better treatment, tuition will be waived, and all kinds of resources will be given priority, including cultivation space, food, herbs, guidance from high-level soul masters, and so on. The outer courtyard students will be able to enter the inner courtyard after passing the academy's assessment. There are two specific assessments. The first one is rank. If you want to enter the inner courtyard, your soul power must be at least rank 35 before the age of 20, or rank 25 before the age of 14. The second one is strength, which is the soul master's fighting strength. Rank does not represent everything. The inner courtyard does not need students who only have a cultivation realm but not strength. Only students who can use their martial souls well and display their strength will be nurtured by the inner courtyard. As for auxiliary system soul masters, they will be evaluated by specialized teachers. Those who pass the assessment will be able to enter the inner courtyard. There's one last thing. The members of the next Continental Elite Soul Master Tournament will be selected from the inner courtyard students. Whether or not you'll be selected will depend on your abilities. Alright, that's all for now. Everyone, work hard. After Lu Yuan finished speaking, his eyes focused on the numerous students below. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds passed. A thunderous applause sounded. The students below the stage looked at Lu Yuan with a different expression. This was a look of welcome and acceptance. Even in the entire Heaven Do Empire, only the current Heavenly Star Academy could give such preferential treatment to commoners. The halving of tuition fees, the establishment of scholarships, and the provision of more work-study opportunities had undoubtedly greatly reduced the burden on the families of the commoners. Most of the students present were from commoner families, so how could they not welcome and accept them from the bottom of their hearts? After all, Lu Yuan was really putting himself in their shoes and thinking for them. At the same time, Lu Yuan's division of the inner and outer academy stirred up the desire in the hearts of many students. It was a desire to become stronger. With such good treatment in the inner yard, those who had the ability and met the requirements were naturally eager to join. After all, apart from the benefits they received, the reputation of the inner courtyard students was clearly a little higher. Furthermore, the students participating in the next Continental Elite Soul Master Tournament would also be selected from the inner courtyard. This undoubtedly made the competitive atmosphere even more intense. Looking at the excited students, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and turned to leave the high platform. Since he had finished speaking, he could also leave. Speaking of which, he did not like this kind of scene. Especially when he was speaking on stage, he felt like he was listening to the principal's speech at the opening ceremony in his previous life. The old-fashioned and boring opening speech was long and smelly, making people feel sleepy. Now that it was his turn, he only needed to say a few simple words. After all, he only needed to say the main points. What was the point of saying so much nonsense? Lu Yuan left the high platform, and left the remaining matters to the other teachers. They should be very good at these things. Lu Yuan left the high platform, and Zhu Zhuqing naturally followed beside him. As for Long Xiaoyaro, Du Gubo, and the Frenzy Rhino Douluo, they all followed behind him. Yes, the Frenzy Rhino Douluo was still following him. Of course, it was only temporary. There were not enough people now, and he could only be used to fill in the numbers. When there were enough people in the future, he would send him to Cher's side. After all, it did not feel good to have someone watching him from the shadows. Where are we going next? Zhu Zhuqing asked softly. To receive a few important guests. For example, sect leader Ning of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sec. Lu Yuan's voice was faint. His eyes flashed as he glanced in a certain direction. Hihi, long time no see. Abuchi, your senses are still so sharp. As Lu Yuan looked at them, 3 figures walked out from behind a tree. The person in front was naturally the sect leader of the Seven Treasures Glazed Sect, Ning Fengji. To his left was the sword Douluo, Chen Xin, who was known to have the greatest offensive power. To his right was a young girl around 12 or 13 years old. She had long brown hair and a beautiful oval face. She wore a white dress, which made her look very elegant. Her every movement revealed the elegance of an upper-class aristocrat. She was Ning Rongrong, whom Hui Yuhao had not seen for a few months. Right now, she was staring straight at Lu Yuan. Her blue eyes were bright and sparkling, and they flashed with a strange radiance. Uncle Ning, it has indeed been a long time. Lu Yuan nodded slightly and greeted Ning Fengji. Ever since Lu Yuan met Ning Fengji more than 2 years ago, both of them had their own goals. They wanted to get closer to each other, so they had changed the way they addressed each other. Abuchi, congratulations on the establishment of the Heavenly Star Academy. Today, Uncle Jian, Rongrong, and I are here to congratulate you. Ning Fengji smiled as he said, "Thank you, Uncle Ning. It's not convenient to talk here. Let's find a place to sit down and talk." Lu Yuan suggested. "All right, as the host, I'll follow your arrangement." Ning Fengji wore a smile on his face. Everyone sat opposite each other in a quiet tea room. Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing sat on one side, while Ning Fengji and Ning Rongrong sat on the other side. Long Xiaoyaro and the other two, as well as the sword Douluo, stood behind them. Ning Fengji's gaze shifted to Zhu Zhuqing. There was a look of surprise in his eyes. He paused for a moment before looking at the three people behind Lu Yuan. Ning Fengji had seen Long Xiaoyaro and the frenzy rhino Douluo before. However, he didn't know that Dugu Bo was also standing behind Lu Yuan. Could it be? Ning Fengji had some guesses in his heart. Isn't this the poison Douluo, Senior Dugu? Abuchi, why is Senior Dugu with you? Ning Fengji asked. Senior Dugu and I hit it off immediately. He has already joined the organization that I've established. Lu Yuan smiled and said, "You've established your organization?" Ning Fengji was a little confused. Lu Yuan has established his own organization? Why didn't I know about it? Lu Yuan seemed to have seen through Ning Fengji's confusion. He said, "It's still in the early stages. I've just chosen a location. There's still some time before it's established. That's why it hasn't been announced to the public yet." "Oh, I see." Ning Fengji nodded in understanding. However, he was thinking in his heart. Lu Yuan now has 3 titled Douluo behind him. Once this organization is established, it will definitely impact the current structure of power. It seems like the 3 upper sects are going to become the 4 upper sects. Chapter 378. After all, even though Lu Yuan was still in the process of establishing his faction, Long Xiaoyaro, the frenzied rhino Douluo, and the poison Douluo would be able to squeeze into the upper 3 sects once they were established. After all, the upper 3 sects were called the upper 3 sects because they were supported by titled Douluo. A titled Douluo was the stabilizing force of any organization on the continent. Furthermore, Long Xiaoyaro was an ultimate Douluo among the 3 titled Douluo behind Lu Yuan. Long Xiaoyaro could easily beat up all the titled Douluo in the upper 3 sects. As long as they weren't ultimate Douluo, even a bunch of normal titled Douluo wouldn't be a threat to an ultimate Douluo. No matter whether it was ultimate or exceptional, they were both honorifics for rank 99 titled Douluo. Why were they honorifics like this? It was because rank 99 titled Douluo was completely different from normal titled Douluo. The Bear Lord was strong enough. He was half a step into the ultimate limit, and his offensive strength could even reach the ultimate limit. However, he was still defeated by Long Xiaoyaro, who had just fought with Di Tian, and even managed to hurt him with a sneak attack. The difference between the ultimate Douluo and the ultimate Douluo was too great. Why did the Clear Sky sect seal their doors and become cowards? Wasn't it because Tang Chen had disappeared, and the Clear Sky sect no longer had an ultimate Douluo? However, the Martial Soul Palace had Sendryu. Even if all the titled Douluo were to attack Sendryu together, it would be like throwing eggs at a rock. Hence, they had no choice but to lower their heads. As such, Ning Fengji didn't dare to underestimate Lu Yuan's organization even though he said that it was only a fledgling organization. Once Lu Yuan's organization was established, it would definitely be a colossus. With 3 titled Douluo backing him, it would be a piece of cake for him to recruit some families and small sects. Titled Douluo were his greatest signboard. He was a signboard that could recruit other factions. Then where should you choose to establish your faction? If you need it, I have a place that I can recommend to you. The scenery there is beautiful, and it's convenient. It's a good location for your faction. Ning Fengji said. His relationship with Lu Yuan wasn't bad. Since Lu Yuan was going to establish a faction, and this faction was destined to be huge, Ning Fengji naturally chose to build a good relationship with him. Now that his faction was just being established, it was a good opportunity to build a good relationship. After all, helping someone in need was much better than adding the icing on the cake. Although, and had a good relationship with Douluo, helping him, and Hua. If Lu Yuan could establish a good relationship with the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, Ning Fengji would have a certain level of confidence even when facing the martial spirit palace. Even though he didn't know that the young man in front of him was from the martial soul palace, Hua Yuhao didn't mind. Lu Yuan said softly, "There's no need. Thank you for your kindness, Uncle Ning. The location is an open space near the mountain outside Heaven-Do City. It's quiet there, and the scenery is pleasant. The transportation is also quite convenient. I'm quite satisfied with it, so there's no need to trouble you." Ning Fengji smiled and said, "It's good that you've made your choice. Of course, if you need any help, just let Uncle Ning know. Uncle Ning will help you." "Thank you, Uncle Ning." Lu Yuan nodded gently. He didn't reject Ning Fengji's kindness. After all, he was going to rope in the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. Why should he reject? "Abuchi, what's the name of the faction that you want to establish?" "The name of this faction is very important. It has to be loud and pleasant to the ears so that others will remember it more easily," Ning Fengji said. "Dragon King Palace. That's the name of the faction that I want to establish," Lu Yuan said. "Dragon King Palace? That's a pretty good name. It's very impressive," Ning Fengji praised. "Uncle Ning is too kind," Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Ning Fengji shifted his gaze and finally stopped on Zhu Zhuqing. "Abuchi, this should be Miss Zhu Zhuqing that Rong Rong mentioned." "Yes, this is my fiancé, Zhu Zhuqing. Zhuqing, say hello to Uncle Ning," Lu Yuan said softly. "Hello, Uncle Ning." Zhu Zhuqing stood up and bowed. Her cold voice sounded. "Hello," Ning Fengji said with a smile. "Abuchi, you're very lucky. Miss Zhu has a quiet personality, looks, and temperament. She's a good match for you." "Yes, meeting Zhuqing is indeed my good fortune." Lu Yuan nodded affirmatively. He looked at Zhu Zhuqing with affection in his eyes. Zhu Zhuqing's heart warmed when she saw the affection in Lu Yuan's eyes. She looked at Lu Yuan with a gentle gaze. "Ahem." Ning Rongrong suddenly coughed twice. Her beautiful eyes turned slightly. She looked at Ning Fengji with hostility. What was this bastard of a father talking about? He actually said that they were a good match. What should she do? At home, he said that he would assist her. In the end, he didn't help at all after coming here. Instead, he only caused trouble. Ning Fengji felt a headache when he saw the resentment and hostility in Ning Rongrong's eyes. He knew that his daughter must be feeling uncomfortable. But looking at Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing's appearance, it was obvious that they were interested in each other. He couldn't say that they were not suitable. What else could he say? "What's wrong, Rongrong? Are you not feeling well? I have some longji leaves here. It's good for the body. If you need, I can give you 2 rolls." Lu Yuan asked Ning Rongrong, pretending not to know anything. "Nothing, I'm fine. It's just that my throat suddenly felt a little itchy." Hearing Lu Yuan's question, Ning Rongrong turned her head with a gentle smile on her face. The hostility in her eyes just now disappeared. Ning Fengji sighed helplessly in his heart when he saw Ning Rongrong's quick change of expression. It seemed that this girl was really deep in the mud and couldn't be pulled back. She knew that the other party already had a girlfriend, but she still wanted to send herself to him. Well, for the sake of Rongrong's infatuation, he would help her again. After all, this boy was indeed very outstanding. Even if Rongrong shared a husband with another woman, he, Ning Fengji, would grit his teeth and accept it. It was normal for capable people in the Douluo continent to have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Wasn't he, Ning Fengji, the same? He had a lot of sons, but only Rongrong was his daughter. She was talented, so he doted on her. Since Rongrong liked it, then let her be. It was good for the Seven Treasures Glazed sect to become in-laws with this kid. "Abuchi, Uncle Ning wants to discuss something with you," Ning Fengji said. "Oh, I don't know what it is. As long as I can help, I will do my best," Lu Yuan said softly. Chapter 379. Actually, it's not a big deal. It's just that Rong Rong has always been at home and hasn't received any training or education. Since your Heavenly Star Academy has just been established, I want to let Rong Rong study in your academy. Is it possible? Ning Fengji asked. I thought it was a big deal. So it's like this. If Rong Rong wants to study in my academy, then I naturally welcome her. It just so happens that I'm currently preparing for some matters in the inner courtyard. Rong Rong's talent is very high and completely meets the requirements of the inner courtyard. Joining the outer courtyard would be a waste of her talent, so she might as well directly join the inner courtyard. Lu Yuan said. How many people are there in the inner courtyard now? Ning Rongrong asked curiously. The inner courtyard has just been established today, so naturally there aren't many people. It's just me, Zhu Qing, and if you add you, then there are only 3 people. Lu Yuan said. You're also a student of the inner courtyard? Aren't you the dean? Ning Rongrong opened her eyes wide and asked with some surprise. I'm both the dean and a student. Is there a problem? Lu Yuan looked at Ning Rongrong. There's no problem, I'm just a little curious. Ning Rongrong quickly explained after being looked at by Lu Yuan. There are still very few students in the inner courtyard. Only after the end of this assessment will the number of students slowly increase. For the time being, the inner courtyard doesn't have any teachers in charge. It's mainly Vice Dean Liu Erlong who is responsible for teaching. I'm still arranging the teachers to teach the inner courtyard. If you're not in a hurry, you can wait for the teachers to arrange everything properly. After the completion of the assessment, when the number of students increases, then you can enter the academy. Lu Yuan said. No need, I can enter the academy now. Anyway, I'm very bored staying at home. Ning Rongrong blinked her big eyes and said. So it's like this, then you can come and report tomorrow. At that time, I'll let Zhu Qing take you. You can follow her to stroll around the academy and familiarize yourself with the environment. You can ask Senior Dugu about cultivation. These days, Senior Dugu will be staying in the academy. If I have time, I will come back to take a look. At that time, I can ask Elder Long to give you some pointers, Lu Yuan said. Both Ning Fengji and the sword Douluo were elated when they heard Lu Yuan mention that Long Xiaoyaro could personally guide Ning Rongrong. The guidance of an ultimate Douluo was extremely precious, and it was something that others couldn't even dream of. Even though Long Xiaoyaro and Ning Rongrong weren't of the same type of soul master, Ning Rongrong would benefit greatly from Long Xiaoyao's pointers given his current level. Every titled Douluo was one of the most powerful individuals in the world. Anyone who could become a titled Douluo would have their own unique views on cultivation. This was because they had their own unique experiences. Such experiences and experiences were very precious to soul masters below the titled Douluo level. As long as he could obtain even a little bit, it would be a huge harvest. There wasn't a single titled Douluo who didn't know how to cultivate. This was because if they didn't know how to cultivate, they wouldn't have been able to become a titled Douluo. Even Dugu Bo, who was once the weakest titled Douluo, knew that one of the conditions for having twin martial souls was that the quality of both martial souls had to be similar. However, the Grandmaster, who was known to be invincible in theory, didn't know about this. This was enough to show that some high-level questions could only be answered by high-level soul masters. If you didn't possess such profound abilities, you would never know what it felt like to possess such abilities. It was just like how a soul emperor would never know how miraculous a soul sage's martial soul true body was. This was the difference in knowledge brought about by the difference in cultivation levels. Long Xiaoyaro was an ultimate Douluo. The cultivation experience of such a person was extremely precious. It could be said that even the sword Douluo wanted to receive Long Xiaoyao's pointers. This was because a single ultimate Douluo's pointers could help the sword Douluo break through. If the sword Douluo was like this, what about Ning Rongrong? Aren't you going to stay in the academy? Ning Rongrong was a little confused as she looked at Lu Yuan. Isn't he the dean? Where else can he go if he's not in the academy? I still have to prepare for the construction of the Dragon King Hall. That's why I don't have much time in the academy, Lu Yuan said. Oh. Ning Rongrong nodded. She had forgotten about this. However, If Lu Yuan wasn't in the academy, wouldn't that mean that she wouldn't have many chances to see him? As she thought until here, Ning Rongrong was a little disappointed. However, when she looked at Zhu Zhuqing, Ning Rongrong became happy again. No matter what, as long as she followed Zhu Zhuqing, she would definitely be able to see Lu Yuan. After all, they were in the same academy. There would definitely be opportunities to meet him. This was much better than not knowing anything about him in the past. Uncle Ning, I have a business deal to discuss with you. I wonder if you're interested. Lu Yuan tapped his finger on the table and made tapping sounds. What business deal? Ning Fengji was a little interested. Well, how should I put it? Roughly speaking, it's a weapon that can allow an auxiliary-type Soul Master to have the ability to fight against a combat-type Soul Master. Lu Yuan said. What did you say? Ning Fengji, Ning Rongrong, and the sword Douluo were all shocked. Ning Fengji stood up abruptly and looked at Lu Yuan with a gaze that was 5 parts shock, 3 parts suspicion, and 2 parts anticipation. Lu Yuan, is what you said true? Ning Rongrong's eyes were wide open and her cherry mouth was slightly open. She looked at Lu Yuan with an inquisitive gaze. Abuchi, is what you said true? Ning Fengji asked with an anxious tone. His usual refined temperament had disappeared and was replaced by a huge excitement that surged from the bottom of his heart. Of course it's true. Uncle Ning, you don't have to be so excited. Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Who? Ning Fengji suppressed his emotions and said with a bitter smile, it's not that I can't control my emotions. It's just that the weapon you're talking about is too important to the 7 Treasures Glazed sect. Although the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda's auxiliary abilities are unparalleled, we don't have any fighting ability. We can't guarantee our own safety. That's why I've been looking for things that can allow auxiliary-type Soul Masters to have defensive abilities. However, I've been unable to find anything. How can I not be excited to hear this news from you today? Abuchi, what kind of weapon are you talking about? Ning Fengji looked at Lu Yuan curiously. It wasn't just him. Even Ning Rongrong and the sword Douluo were looking at Lu Yuan. Uncle Ning, you must know about soul tools, right? Lu Yuan smiled and said. Of course. Ning Fengji nodded. Although soul tools were very precious, the 7 Treasures Glazed sect still had many treasures. Chapter 380. One had to know that the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda was the richest sect in the world. Other than the martial soul hall, which was spread across the entire continent, which could suppress the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda in terms of wealth, the other powers couldn't compare to the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda in terms of wealth. For example, the Clear Sky sect was known as the #1 sect in the world, but they weren't very rich. They were stronger than the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda, but they couldn't compare in terms of wealth. In the original novel, the Tang sect could be established so smoothly because of the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda's financial support. Otherwise, Tang San wouldn't have been able to afford the metals needed to create hidden weapons. For example, Lu Yuan didn't have much money left after buying the Blue Tyrant Academy. Without sufficient wealth, he wouldn't be able to play with such a money-burning business like soul tools. In short, money was a very important thing sometimes, especially when you were short of money. Therefore, with the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda's wealth, Ning Fengji had seen many soul tools. Naturally, he recognized them. The weapons I'm talking about are soul tools, Lu Yuan said softly. Soul tools? After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ning Fengji and the other 2 were stunned. Weren't those things only used to store items? Since when did they have the ability to protect one's body? Seeing their expressions, Lu Yuan knew what they were thinking. He immediately laughed and said, Uncle Ning, the soul tools you see are storage-type soul tools. However, storage-type soul tools are only one type of soul tool. There are other types of soul tools, such as defensive soul tools, long-range soul tools, flying-type soul tools, close combat soul tools, and so on. There are many types of soul tools. There are defensive, flying-type, and even offensive types. There aren't just storage-type soul tools. Abuchi, have you obtained the manufacturing techniques of soul tools that have been lost? Ning Fengji seemed to have suddenly thought of something. His expression changed, and he hurriedly asked. In the face of Ning Fengji's question, Lu Yuan did not directly answer, but neither did he refute it. He only smiled faintly. Ning Fengji's eyes flickered with a strange light as he watched Lu Yuan's tacit agreement. He was even more perplexed. Where did this kid come from? He even managed to obtain the manufacturing techniques of soul tools that had been lost for generations. Ning Fengji wasn't an ordinary person. He was very experienced, and had some understanding of ancient soul tools from ancient books. There were indeed many types of ancient soul tools, and many of them possessed formidable offensive strength. However, they had been lost for a long time. Now that Lu Yuan had mentioned it, he immediately recalled the information that he had read before. He was astonished, but he was also delighted at the same time. If it was really a soul tool like the one recorded in the ancient books, it might be able to help the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. Uncle Ning, do you want to see the power of this soul tool? Lu Yuan asked. I'm naturally very curious about this soul tool that has been lost for generations since ancient times. Ning Fengji was astonished, but he regained his usual scholarly temperament and smiled faintly as he spoke. After all, he was the master of a sect. If not for the fact that Lu Yuan's information was too shocking, Ning Fengji wouldn't have lost his composure, given his self-restraint. Then let's move. There's an empty space not far from the academy. It's very quiet, and very few people come here. We can go there to test it, Lu Yuan said. In an open space, everyone gathered together. Light flickered in Lu Yuan's hands, and several soul tools of different shapes and sizes appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Who wants to experience using this soul tool? You can come out and give it a try, Lu Yuan said. Me. Ning Rongrong raised her small hand. Rongrong, you'll be the one to test it. Elder Sword, can you test the power of this soul tool? Lu Yuan asked the sword Douluo. Since they were going to sell it to the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, the person to test its power naturally had to be the sword Douluo. After all, his words were more convincing to Ning Fengji. Rongrong, come over here. I'll teach you how to use these weapons. This is a soul pistol, and it's a Class 4 soul tool. Its power is roughly equivalent to an all-out attack from an ordinary soul ancestor. You just have to inject your soul power and pull the trigger. Lu Yuan said. Do I need to inject my soul power to use this? Ning Rongrong tilted her head and asked. Of course. A soul pistol is only a weapon, and soul power is the energy used to activate it. Naturally, you need to inject your soul power to launch an attack. It's just like a soul master releasing a soul skill. Try it out first, Lu Yuan said. Ning Rongrong nodded and injected her soul power. She revealed a mischievous smile to the sword Douluo. Grandpa Jian, I'm coming. As she spoke, she pulled the trigger in her hand. A streak of dazzling blue light shot straight towards the sword Douluo. The sword Douluo pointed his finger in the air, and sword chi burst forth and instantly destroyed the blue ray. Uncle Jian, how's its power? Ning Fengji asked. It's comparable to a soul ancestor's attack. The sword Douluo nodded and said. Ning Fengji's eyes brightened, and there was a burning look on his face. If Uncle Jian said so, then the power of this soul tool was indeed true. It seems like this soul pistol can't threaten Grandpa Jian. Ning Rongrong shook her head and said as she watched the sword Douluo easily destroy the soul ray. This soul pistol is only a Class 4 soul tool, and corresponds to a soul ancestor. Naturally, it can't threaten Elder Jian. If you want to threaten a titled Douluo, it has to be at least a Class 8 soul tool, or even a Class 9 soul tool. Lu Yuan said. There's a soul tool that can threaten a titled Douluo? Ning Fengji was astonished. Of course. There are even soul tools that can kill a titled Douluo, let alone threaten them. It's just that I can't make them now. I can only make Class 6 soul tools at most. If I want to make higher level ones, I need time and experience. Lu Yuan said plainly. Hiss. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Ning Fengji and the sword Douluo looked at each other. There was a look of astonishment on their faces. It seemed like this soul tool's power couldn't be underestimated. Come, Rongrong. This is a Class 5 automatic protective soul barrier. It's a defensive soul tool. You don't need to inject soul power into it, because it already has soul power stored inside. As long as it's attacked, it will automatically form a protective barrier to defend itself. Come, try it on. Lu Yuan said as he passed a necklace-like defensive soul tool to Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong took it and wore it around her neck. Rongrong, I'll use this soul pistol to shoot a ray at you. If you're afraid, give the necklace to Zhu Qing and let her test it out for you. Lu Yuan looked at Ning Rongrong and said softly. Chapter 381. No need, I'm not afraid. Ning Rongrong shook her head with a smile on her face. All right then, get ready. I'm going to start. Lu Yuan raised his soul pistol and aimed it at Ning Rongrong before pulling the trigger. A blue ray shot towards Ning Rongrong. Ning Rongrong was a little shocked when she saw the blue ray. Although she said she wasn't afraid, she was still a little nervous when the ray came. However, she wasn't afraid when she saw Lu Yuan's indifferent expression, because she believed in Lu Yuan. Just as the blue ray was about to hit Ning Rongrong, an orange light surged from her necklace. After that, it turned into an orange light barrier that enveloped Ning Rongrong. The blue ray hit the orange light barrier, but it didn't cause a single ripple. This seemingly weak barrier's defensive power was actually extraordinarily strong. Whoosh! Ning Fengji heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that the orange barrier had blocked all the blue rays. Although he didn't stop it, he was still a little worried for Ning Rongrong. Now that he saw that Ning Rongrong was safe and sound, he felt a lot more relaxed. His interest in the defensive soul tool was also piqued. The soul ray, which was comparable to a soul ancestor's attack, was actually blocked so easily. This orange barrier's defensive strength was very impressive. If every member of the direct line of descent could wear such a soul barrier, their safety would be greatly guaranteed. This is a Class 5 soul barrier. It can block attacks that aren't stronger than a soul king. The duration of this barrier is calculated according to the strength of the attack, until the soul power stored in it is depleted. Lu Yuan said plainly. Rongrong, how do you feel? Lu Yuan looked at Ning Rongrong and asked. I feel very good. I feel very safe when I'm protected by that barrier, Ning Rongrong said. That's good. Next, let's try out the flying type soul tool. I'll demonstrate it. You guys haven't used it before, so you might not be able to control it well. Lu Yuan carried the flying type soul tool on his back. There are 4 buttons on the flying type soul tool. One is the start button, one is the stop button, and the other 2 are the speed buttons. As for the direction control, there are 2 handles on both sides of the aircraft. The top of the handles are where the 2 speed buttons are. After pressing the power button, Lu Yuan slowly pressed the accelerator button and controlled the direction. The flying type soul tool spewed out a spray as Lu Yuan slowly rose into the air. Then, he slowly accelerated. Lu Yuan slowly rose into the air, then circled a few times in the air before landing back down. Ning Fengji nodded as he watched Lu Yuan's demonstration. With this flying type soul tool, they could escape even if they couldn't defeat their opponents. To the 7 Treasures glazed sect, this flying type soul tool was very useful. After landing, Lu Yuan removed his flying type soul tool from his back. What should we try next? Is it this sword? Ning Rongrong held a 3-foot-long sword. This sword had 2 colors, one ice blue, the other fiery red. There was a strong energy nurturing within it. It was the sword that Lu Yuan had infused with the power of ice and fire. This sword is a close combat soul tool. It's a Class 6 soul tool, suitable for soul kings and soul emperors. Your soul power is still a little low, so you can't unleash the power of this sword. However, this sword has been infused with the power of ice and fire. Even if you don't infuse it with soul power, it's still very strong. Look. Lu Yuan took the sword from Ning Rongrong's hand and waved it in the air. A beautiful sword light that carried both fiery red and ice blue colors burst forth, leaving a deep mark on the ground. If you infuse it with soul power, it'll look like this. Golden light flickered in Lu Yuan's hand. He infused the clear air scripture's soul power into the ice fire sword in his hand, then slashed it down from the sky. A bright sword light that was 3 feet long flew out from the tip of the sword. After that, it instantly enlarged and landed on the ground not far away. Immediately, dust flew everywhere, and a huge sword mark appeared where it landed. This sword mark was 3 meters long, and close to 40 centimeters deep. The destructive power of this sword strike was unimaginable. Furthermore, this was just a casual strike that had been infused with soul power. What if it was paired with a soul skill? The power would definitely be very impressive. Lu Yuan put away the Icefire sword in his hand. He had originally planned to make this sword into a Class 5 soul tool. However, because the quality of the power of ice and fire that he had infused into it was too high, it was pushed to the level of a Class 6 soul tool. In terms of strength, this sword naturally couldn't compare to Chihiro Snow's divine sword. It was even more inferior to Lu Yuan's golden dragon spear. However, this didn't mean that this sword wasn't powerful. With it, a Soul Emperor's strength would definitely increase by a lot. He would have an overwhelming advantage against Soul Masters of the same rank. Even if Ning Rongrong was an auxiliary-type Soul Master, she could easily defeat ordinary Soul Masters and Soul Grandmasters if she didn't infuse any soul power into it. After all, it was a Class 6 soul tool. Its strength was naturally extraordinary. Rongrong, I'll give this sword to you. Lu Yuan handed the sword back to Ning Rongrong. You're giving it to me? Ning Rongrong's eyes sparkled. There was a look of surprise on her face. Why? Don't you want it? Seeing this, Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows and prepared to take the sword back. I want it. Ning Rongrong quickly took the sword from Lu Yuan's hand. This sword was so powerful. How could she not want it? More importantly, this was the first time Lu Yuan had given her something. How could she not want it? However, what she didn't know was that Lu Yuan was only investing in it in advance to leave a good impression on Ning Fengji. It was only so that they could cooperate better. There was no other intention. Ning Rongrong happily held the Icefire sword in her hand and asked, Lu Yuan, what's the name of this sword? Sword of Icefire, Lu Yuan said casually. Yes, it had the power of ice and fire. Therefore, it wasn't a problem to call it the Sword of Icefire. Lu Yuan wouldn't admit that he had trouble naming. Sword of Icefire? Ning Rongrong sized up the gorgeous fire-red and ice-blue sword in her hand. There was a smile on her face. It was obvious that she liked this sword very much. This sword's design was actually very gorgeous. It looked quite exquisite. Every carving on it had been meticulously done by Lu Yuan. It looked completely natural and didn't have any traces of chiseling. It couldn't be helped. Lu Yuan was a person who cared a lot about appearances. Not only in terms of women, but he also had high standards for the appearance of his works. Whether it was the angelic sword that he had made for Chihiro Snow or this sword of Icefire, they were both very gorgeous and exquisite. This was because when he was designing, Lu Yuan would unconsciously design them to look better. Ning Rongrong was a little girl, so she definitely liked exquisite and beautiful things. This sword of Icefire was both powerful and beautiful. Naturally, she couldn't put it down. Chapter 382. Next, we're going to test the most powerful type of soul tool. It's called a portable Class 6 soul cannon. Elder Jian, I'll have to trouble you to test it. Lu Yuan said. Alright, just do it. The sword Douluo nodded. After hearing this, Lu Yuan quickly assembled the Class 6 soul cannon and placed it on his shoulder. Apart from the fort, a Class 6 soul cannon also needed a Class 6 soul cannon shell. This was especially true for soul cannon shells, which were very important. Without them, a Class 6 soul cannon would only be an empty shell. The crafting process for a Class 6 soul cannon shell was very complicated. It was even more difficult than ordinary Class 6 soul tools. There were also quite a few soul formations that were required to do so. Class 6 soul tools were considered precious among soul tools, and the requirements for their makers were quite high. Firstly, one had to have spiritual power. Every Class 6 formation array required a lot of spiritual power to be inscribed. Furthermore, Class 6 soul tools sometimes required a lot of soul arrays. Lu Yuan's spiritual power had increased again after consuming the autumn-piercing gaze dew. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for him to craft a Class 6 soul tool. Another requirement was soul power. It was impossible for someone without soul power to craft a soul tool. If one wanted to craft a Class 6 soul tool, one's soul power had to be at the level of a soul king. Lu Yuan possessed the clear air scripture. His soul power was very condensed. It wasn't inferior to a soul king's. In fact, it was even more condensed. This was why he could successfully craft a Class 6 soul tool. It wasn't like ordinary soul tools. Soul cannon shells were one-use consumables. They were very powerful, but they were gone after one use. This item was very expensive to make. Compared to other soul tools, this item was the one that really burned money. However, sometimes, it was worth it to burn money. Elder Jian, be careful. Lu Yuan slowly poured his soul power into it, and the portable stationary soul cannon on his shoulder started to charge. At the same time, a huge amount of energy gathered at the cannon's muzzle. Suddenly, a loud boom rang out, and the soul cannon shell shot out rapidly. It flew through the air, leaving a string of dazzling sparks behind it. The sword Douluo raised his eyebrows as he sensed the aura coming from the soul cannon shell. All of a sudden, a sharp aura burst forth from his body, and 9 soul rings, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, appeared. A sword that was entirely pure silver appeared in his hand, and it was shining with dazzling silver light. It was the 7 kills sword, which was known to have the greatest offensive power. The sword Douluo swung his 7 kills sword horizontally in the face of the soul cannon shell that was hurtling toward him, and a dazzling sword intent that was imbued with incomparably sharp sword intent clashed violently with the soul cannon shell. With a loud rumble and a strong light, a huge explosion swept across the sky. A powerful shockwave swept towards the crowd with great power. Lu Yuan's heart skipped a beat when he sensed this power. This explosion was very strong, and was probably even stronger than the 6th soul skills of some assault-type soul emperors. It was definitely not something that ordinary soul emperors could resist. Lu Yuan took a step forward and stood in front of Ning Rongrong. This power wasn't something that an auxiliary-type soul master like Ning Rongrong could resist. Ning Fengji was very smart, and had already hidden behind Dugu Bo, while Long Xiaoyaro was standing in front of Zhu Zhuqing. Lu Yuan channeled his soul power and bloodline at the same time, and resisted the power of this shockwave. Ordinary soul emperors might not be able to resist this power, but it couldn't do anything to him. He had defeated Liu Erlong in a head-on battle, and he could even defeat a soul sage. A little shockwave from this explosion was nothing to him. The shockwave slowly dissipated, and Ning Rongrong wasn't affected because she was standing behind Lu Yuan. Dust filled the sky. This explosion was too intense, and the empty ground was almost completely destroyed. A gentle breeze blew past, and the dust in the sky dissipated. The sword Douluo's figure was revealed. He was still very neat and tidy, and he was dressed in white. He held a long sword in his hand, and there was a sharp sword intent coming from his body. However, his expression was very serious. The power of the explosion had indeed shocked him. He didn't expect a soul tool to be so strong. The sword Douluo was 3 feet tall, and even the ground wasn't affected. However, there was a huge crater 3 meters in front of him. It was more than 20 meters in diameter, and 7 to 8 meters deep. This cannon's power wasn't small at all. Hiss! Ning Fengji immediately sucked in a cold breath. Even an assault-type soul emperor might not be able to resist such a powerful explosion. Ning Rongrong, who was hiding behind Lu Yuan, also stuck her head out. When she saw such a huge crater, her eyes were filled with astonishment. She turned to look at Lu Yuan, and her eyes were sparkling. "It's very powerful," the sword Douluo said softly. According to his estimation, there weren't many soul emperors who could resist such a cannon. Even he didn't dare to use his physical body to resist it. After all, even though he was a titled Douluo, he had a tool martial soul. The enhancement of his physical body wasn't as great as that of a soul master with a beast martial soul. The 7 kills sword wasn't like the clear sky hammer. The 7 kills sword was extremely sharp, and its strength lay in its offense. The clear sky hammer was powerful and domineering, and its strength lay in its strength and explosive power. Therefore, the sword Douluo couldn't compare to Tang Hao in terms of physical strength. Of course, Tang Hao was already dead, and this was just a saying. It's not too bad. Lu Yuan had expected this portable soul tool to be so powerful. After all, he had spent a lot of time and effort to create it. Furthermore, he had wasted so many rare metals. It would be a waste if it wasn't as powerful as this portable soul tool. Uncle Ning, are you satisfied with the portable stationary soul cannon's strength? Lu Yuan turned around and looked at Ning Fengji. There was a faint smile on his face. Of course I'm very satisfied, Ning Fengji said softly as he walked out from behind Douluo Bo. He had to admit that he was tempted when he saw the portable soul cannon's strength. If he carried such a thing with him, he could let any soul emperor who dared to find trouble with him know what cruelty was. Most soul emperors who had never seen such a thing before would be unable to effectively defend against Ling Tian's cannon. Thus, the chances of them dying were very high. Shall we go and discuss our cooperation? Lu Yuan said. All right, I was just about to talk to you about this. Ning Fengji smiled. After this experiment, Ning Fengji was very tempted by the soul tools that Lu Yuan had displayed. Apart from the close combat soul tools that might not be very useful, as there were very few auxiliary-type soul masters who knew how to fight, the remaining defensive soul tools and flying-type soul tools, as well as the portable stationary soul cannon, made Ning Fengji very tempted. These were all good things. Shall we go back to the tea room for a chat? Lu Yuan smiled and said. Chapter 383. So you've settled the 7 treasures glazed sect? Chihiro Snow asked Lu Yuan as she leaned against a chair in the Crown Prince's residence. What do you think? Is there anything that I can't settle? Lu Yuan smiled and replied. Narcissus. Chihiro Snow glanced at Lu Yuan and chided him. Haha, I'm not being narcissistic. I'm truly capable. With those soul tools, it's only a matter of time before Ning Fengji takes the bait. Lu Yuan walked to Chihiro Snow's side and picked her up. After that, he sat down on a chair and placed Chihiro Snow on his lap. His left hand gently wrapped around Chihiro Snow's waist. Rascal, what are you doing? We're still in the study. Be careful not to be seen by the elders. Chihiro Snow gave Lu Yuan a light punch as she spoke. Oh, have they seen us? Lu Yuan turned his head slightly. His eyes flashed as he looked outside the tightly shut door. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside the door. Following this, a few coughs could be heard. They're not peeking. It's just that a few old men are eavesdropping. Lu Yuan saw everything that the snake spear Douluo and the other 2 were doing. On one hand, they were afraid that he would show off, so they hid outside the door. On the other hand, they couldn't suppress their curiosity. They wanted to eavesdrop on what Lu Yuan and Hu Yuhao were talking about. How could the 3 elders of the Martial Soul Palace be so nosy? Ah, what did you say? After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Chihiro Snow blushed. Although she didn't do anything with Lu Yuan, she was still a little shy. After all, she couldn't let go of the fact that someone was eavesdropping on her conversation with Lu Yuan. Chihiro Snow was thin-skinned, just like Zhu Zhuqing. He was not as bold as Hulena. As for Jiu Yuana, well, she didn't seem to care about other people's gazes. Back when Lu Yuan held her hand and walked around in front of Di Tian, the Sky Azure Bull Python, and the others, she didn't seem to be shy at all. It had to be said that Jiu Yuana was different from ordinary human girls. It's okay. If those old men want to listen, then let them. After all, they are old single dogs, so they can only listen in secretly. Lu Yuan didn't try to conceal his voice. A titled Douluo's hearing was also very strong, so he immediately heard everything that Lu Yuan had said. The snake spear Douluo and the frenzy rhino Douluo were speechless, and their mouths twitched. They wanted to clench their fists and rush into the room to beat up Lu Yuan, but they didn't have the guts to do so. However, he felt indignant in his heart. What's wrong with being single? Did being single eat your rice? The 3 titled Douluo were filled with resentment towards Lu Yuan. Fart. Qian Renshue giggled and patted Lu Yuan's shoulder. She said, "You're just spouting nonsense. I'm afraid the 3 elders will die of anger after hearing this. Then there's nothing we can do about it. They can't find a girlfriend, can they?" Lu Yuan's lips curled into a smile as he said. "You." Chihiro Snow pointed at Lu Yuan, both annoyed and amused. Outside the door, the 3 titled Douluo silently lifted their heads. The sun was shining brightly outside, but their hearts were filled with misery. The 3 of them looked at each other and sighed. "Since you're working with Ning Fengji, the construction of the Dragon King Palace should be put on the agenda," Chihiro Snow said. "That's true. The initial funds are already in place. Now that the location has been chosen, it's time to start the construction. The 7 Treasures Glazed Sect will arrange for a construction team, and they're all professionals. The construction of the house should be done very quickly," Lu Yuan said. "But apart from the house, I'll also install some defensive facilities. For example, I'll install more than 10 stationary soul cannons. After all, safety is very important." "Yes, that makes sense. You've just been established, and you're lacking manpower. That's why it's necessary to install more defensive soul tools," Chihiro Snow said. As he gently brushed Chihiro Snow's long hair, Lu Yuan said, "The Dragon King Palace's main means of business are soul tools and pills. Pills dominate the market. As for soul tools, storage-type soul tools can be manufactured and sold. However, the rest of the soul tools will be supplied to the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect, and will be used to equip the Martial Soul Palace's own team. How much do you think I should ask your grandfather for if I sell this thing to him?" Lu Yuan looked at Chihiro Snow's beautiful face and suddenly laughed. "You want money for the Martial Soul Palace's own team?" Chihiro Snow's golden eyes widened slightly as he looked at Lu Yuan with a tinge of surprise in his eyes. "Of course you have to pay for it. I can't give it to you for free. Even blood-related brothers have to settle accounts clearly. Right now, the landlord doesn't have any extra food. Don't talk about selling it to your grandfather. Even if I sell it to my teacher, I'll still ask for money. At most, I'll give him a 10% discount on my teacher's account," Lu Yuan said with a smile. "You're really something." Chihiro Snow didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she looked at Lu Yuan. However, she understood Lu Yuan's thoughts. Apart from storage-type soul tools, most of the other types of soul tools couldn't be sold. Apart from those that he kept for his own use, he could only sell them to the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect and the Martial Soul Palace. Soul tools were extremely expensive. If he kept equipping the Martial Soul Palace's army for free, it would be a huge expense for Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan couldn't bear this expense. After all, it wasn't just 1 or 2 soul tools, but an entire army. Therefore, it was necessary to ask for money. It was just a matter of how much he wanted. It depended on whether Lu Yuan sold it at cost price or at market price. However, with Chihiro Snow's understanding of Lu Yuan, it was very unlikely that Lu Yuan would sell it at cost price. He would most likely sell it at market price. After all, this fellow was very short on money. It was already good enough that he didn't cheat the Martial Soul Palace. As for the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect, Chihiro Snow had reason to believe that they had been cheated by this fellow. They would definitely buy it at a much higher price than it should have been. After all, only this fellow knew how to create soul tools. Other than himself, no one knew how much it cost. For example, who knew how much rare metal was needed to create a holy sword? After all, there was a chance of failure when crafting a soul tool. Sometimes, a soul tool's formation arrays would be destroyed if they were careless. Therefore, Lu Yuan was the only one who knew how much soul tools had been used during the crafting process. Perhaps Ning Fengji had some guesses, but he wasn't sure. Even if he knew, he had to grit his teeth and swallow it. This was because the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect needed these soul tools too much. Only Lu Yuan had these soul tools. This was equivalent to a monopoly. Even if they thought it was too expensive, they had to buy it. It was like rice. If there was only one rice shop in the town, they would still have to buy it even if the price increased. After all, they couldn't not eat. Chapter 384. Furthermore, soul tools gave people the impression that they were high-class items that only nobles could possess. Hence, Ning Fengji wouldn't suspect Lu Yuan even if he quoted a higher price. "Rascal, I just thought of something," Chihiro Snow suddenly said. "Go ahead," Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. "Don't tell me you didn't set up any defensive measures when you sold these soul tools to the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. If they study these soul tools, they won't steal these manufacturing techniques, right? Rascal, you have to be careful. Ning Fengji isn't a simple old fox. Perhaps he has such an idea in mind," Chihiro Snow said with a serious expression on his face. "Share is indeed share. You're so thoughtful." Lu Yuan smiled when he saw Chihiro Snow's serious expression. As expected of Chihiro Snow. He's always so thoughtful. "You don't have to worry about that. I'll set up protective measures on every soul tool after it's completed. If someone tries to forcefully remove it, the entire soul tool will be destroyed. Furthermore, the most important thing about soul tools is their formation arrays. These things are very profound. If no one teaches them, an outsider won't be able to understand them. Even if the Seven Treasures Glazed sect were to study them, they wouldn't be able to discover anything. Hence, share, you don't have to worry about these things. I've already made preparations," Lu Yuan said. "That's true. Rascal, you're always well prepared when you do things. I've worried too much," Chihiro Snow said. "Oh, right. You said that your second business is pills?" Chihiro Snow suddenly recalled what Lu Yuan had said. He asked, "Are you talking about the pills that you gave me before? Also, you still haven't told me when you learned how to refine pills." Chihiro Snow looked at Lu Yuan with a burning gaze. "Swear, can you stop asking so many questions?" Lu Yuan was a little exasperated. He had pushed the issue of soul tools to Long Xiaoyao previously, but he really couldn't find a reason to explain the origin of these pills. Could it be that he got it by luck? Zhu Zhuqing and Hulena might believe him, but Chihiro Snow was not so easy to fool. This girl was very smart. Therefore, she could only choose not to say anything. Otherwise, it would be even worse if Chihiro Snow found out that she was lying to him. "All right, then I won't ask." Seeing Lu Yuan's expression, Chihiro Snow knew that this stinky guy didn't want to talk about it. Although she felt uncomfortable, she didn't want to annoy Lu Yuan. Ever since Lu Yuan had said that the frenzy rhino Douluo was like a spy that she had planted beside him, Chihiro Snow had a feeling that she was watching this stinky guy too closely. This made him a little uncomfortable. After all, he was a man. Was it not good for her to watch him so closely? He also needed his freedom. "Stinky guy, do you feel very tired when you're with me?" Chihiro Snow bit her red lips. Her expression was a little complicated. Her golden eyes stared straight at Lu Yuan's double pupils. After hearing this, Lu Yuan looked at Chihiro Snow strangely. "What's wrong with Cher? Why is she suddenly asking such a question? Why are you suddenly asking this?" Lu Yuan asked. "Stinky guy, you haven't answered me yet." Chihiro Snow didn't answer Lu Yuan's question directly. Instead, she urged him to answer. "It's all right. I'm not very tired." Lu Yuan met Chihiro Snow's gaze and said, "Not very tired. This means that you feel a little tired sometimes, right?" Chihiro Snow bit her red lips and continued asking. Lu Yuan was silent for a moment. He didn't answer. "Then what about when you're with Hulena? Do you feel tired?" Chihiro Snow asked again when she saw that Lu Yuan wasn't replying. "No, senior sister is very obedient. She never asks too much." After hearing this, Lu Yuan was silent for a moment. Then, he told the truth. "What about Zhu Zhuqing?" Chihiro Snow stared at Lu Yuan without blinking her beautiful eyes. "Zhuqing is okay. Although she occasionally has a little temper and gets jealous, most of the time, she's very obedient. She's a very quiet girl. Zhu Zhuqing's personality is quiet. Except for the occasional jealousy and a little temper, when she's in front of him, she's basically like a real cat. Gentle and obedient." Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Chihiro Snow's beautiful eyes reddened. Her heart was filled with misery. Share. Looking at Chihiro Snow's red eyes, Lu Yuan reached out his right hand and gently stroked Chihiro Snow's cheek. He suddenly regretted saying all these in front of Chihiro Snow. He made Chihiro Snow sad for no reason. He really deserved a beating. Stinking brat, I won't ask about your secret anymore. I'll always wait. I'll wait until the day you're willing to tell me. Just when Lu Yuan thought Chihiro Snow would cry, Chihiro Snow suddenly grabbed Lu Yuan's right hand that was on her cheek. Her voice was filled with gentleness. Share, you. Lu Yuan looked at Chihiro Snow with some surprise. Was this what the domineering Chihiro Snow who wanted to control everything in the palm of her hand would say? Since when did Shuai become so reasonable? Stinking brat, I forced you too much in the past. I love you, so I care about everything about you. I want to control everything in my hands. In the end, only now do I realize that I don't love you as much as Hulena and Zhu Zhuqing. At least they won't force you, and they won't make you feel tired. But I, on the other hand, have been making things difficult for you. So from now on, I won't force you to tell me your secret, and I won't make you feel tired. I'll be like Hulena and the others, silently accompanying you and watching you. Chihiro Snow's gentle voice went straight into Lu Yuan's heart. Share. Hearing Chihiro Snow's words, Lu Yuan's heart felt warm. He suddenly opened his arms and hugged Chihiro Snow tightly in his arms. He really didn't expect Chihiro Snow to say such words. It was really beyond his expectations. After all, he knew Chihiro Snow's strong personality since he was young. Chihiro Snow's desire to control was also extraordinarily strong. He wanted to control everything in his own hands. But today, Chihiro Snow was actually willing to take a step back and stop pestering him. This made Lu Yuan feel slightly moved. This was because Chihiro Snow really loved him. Otherwise, with Chihiro Snow's personality, it was impossible for him to be willing to take a step back. It was because of this love that Chihiro Snow made such a concession. Share. Lu Yuan gently rubbed Chihiro Snow's cheek and sniffed the delicate fragrance of Chihiro Snow's hair. His heart was filled with peace. Stinking brat. Chihiro Snow slightly tilted his head and leaned his head against Lu Yuan's chest. At this moment, the study was filled with warmth. Chapter 385. Morning. Lu Yuan opened his eyes. Lu Yuan smiled as he looked at the sleeping Chihiro Snow. Chihiro Snow had given him a huge surprise yesterday. He didn't expect Chihiro Snow to give in one day. This was also the first time he realized that Chihiro Snow's love for him wasn't inferior to that of Hulena and Zhu Zhuqing. With Chihiro Snow's strong personality, she was willing to give in for him. She must have put in a lot of effort. Lu Yuan gently brushed Chihiro Snow's hair as he got up and leaned against the headboard. He was thinking about the future development of the Dragon King Hall. Just like what he had said to Chihiro Snow yesterday, the Dragon King Hall's foundation was mainly soul tools and pills. Pills required herbs, and these herbs could grow quickly with the help of the Icefire Yin-Yang well. Therefore, Lu Yuan wasn't worried about herbs. The other thing was metal. Metal was essential to the creation of soul tools. It was very important to have a stable and reliable source of metal. This was crucial to the development of soul tools. If he didn't remember wrongly, there was a city called Gongxin City in the Heaven Do Empire. The supply of metal there was very rich. If he wanted to buy metal from Gongxin City in the long term, he had to plan for the Blacksmiths Association. After all, blacksmiths didn't have a high status, but they were still very persuasive in Gongxin City. After all, it was a sacred place for blacksmiths. Therefore, he had to send people to Gongxin City to contact them and finalize the amount of metal they needed to buy every year. He wasn't interested in running around by himself. He still had a lot of things to deal with in Heaven Do Imperial City. He couldn't leave. It was just that he lacked manpower. This was a big problem. Recruiting some subordinates was a very important matter at the moment. Right now, he could only borrow a few people from the Seven Treasures Glazed sect to run errands. After all, His relationship with the martial soul palace couldn't be exposed. At the same time, he had to secretly recruit his own forces to strengthen his own wings. Lu Yuan thought to himself. There should be quite a few weaker clans and sects in Heaven Do Imperial City, and he could use Dugu Bo, a well-known figure in Heaven Do City, to recruit them. Presumably, many of these clans would need the protection of titled Douluo. After all, it was better to be under a big tree. Furthermore, a titled Douluo had personally extended an invitation to him. That was a great show of sincerity. If he were to meet some of the more powerful families, it wouldn't be too late for him to make an appearance. Lu Yuan gently stroked his chin as he thought to himself. You woke up so early. Why don't you sleep a little longer? While Lu Yuan was deep in thought, a pair of jade-like arms wrapped around his neck, and a beautiful snow-white figure leaned into his embrace. Chihiro Snow blinked his golden eyes and looked at Lu Yuan with a gentle gaze. Lu Yuan gently rubbed Chihiro Snow's head and wrapped his left arm around Chihiro Snow's waist as he smiled and said, I naturally woke up at this time. Oh. Chihiro Snow softly acknowledged. Then, he asked, what are you thinking about? Why are you so engrossed in your thoughts? Isn't it about the Dragon King Palace? Right, Cher. Do you know which clans in Heaven Do Imperial City urgently need the protection of a titled Douluo? Especially those clans and sects that have enmity with large organizations, or are being bullied, and urgently need a protective umbrella. I can try to recruit them. Well, I think there are a few, but I can't remember them clearly at the moment. I'll organize them later and tell you all about them, Chihiro Snow said. Then I'll have to trouble you, Cher. Lu Yuan smiled and gently pinched Chihiro Snow's tender cheeks. Why are you still talking about this with me? Chihiro Snow looked at Lu Yuan reproachfully. Hihi, you're right. I said the wrong thing. I deserve a beating. Lu Yuan smiled and slapped his own mouth, causing Chihiro Snow to helplessly roll his eyes. Abuchi, where are you going later? Chihiro Snow asked. I'm going back to the Heavenly Star Academy. I haven't been back for 2 days. I'm going back to check on the situation. Also, Dugu Bo seems to have brought his granddaughter. I have to check on the poison in her body. After all, Dugu Yang is Dugu Bo's flesh and blood. Only by solving Dugu Yang's problem can Dugu Bo be completely loyal. Lu Yuan said. That's true. As a titled Douluo, Dugu Bo's loyalty is still very important. Furthermore, he's quite useful in your Dragon King Palace. After all, didn't you give him the important task of taking care of the herbs? Chihiro Snow said. That's right. That's why I have to pay more attention to Dugu Yang's problem. Lu Yuan smiled, as if he suddenly thought of something. He said, Cher, there's something I need your help with. What's the matter? Chihiro Snow asked curiously. Release the news that Tang Hao is dead. At the same time, release the news that Tang Hao has a son called Tang Hao. The wider the news, the better. However, you have to be careful. Do it discreetly. Don't let anyone find out that you're behind this, Lu Yuan said. Are you trying to bait the Clear Sky sect? However, Tang Hao has already been expelled from the sect. Given their guts, I'm afraid they won't have the guts to help Tang San. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Chihiro Snow raised her eyebrows and said, the Clear Sky sect won't. The Clear Sky sect won't, of course, but some people will. For example, Tang Xiao is Tang Hao's biological brother. Now that Tang Hao's brother is dead, his nephew is all alone. As his uncle, he should do something. Furthermore, I'm not going to deal with the Clear Sky sect right now. After all, they still have some strength. I want to know where they're hiding from the world so that I can prepare for my next move, Lu Yuan said softly. Lu Yuan wasn't worried about whether the Clear Sky sect would accept Tang Hao. No matter how stubborn the elders were, and no matter how much hatred they had for Tang Hao, they wouldn't reject a disciple with twin martial souls unless they were fools. Furthermore, Tang Xiao was around. Did he look like a fool? To him, a disciple with twin martial souls was an opportunity for the Clear Sky sect to flourish. Furthermore, Tang San was Tang Hao's son. Tang Xiao would nurture Tang San with all his heart based on this point alone. Once Tang San stood out in the Clear Sky sect and gained some support, he would definitely use the Clear Sky sect's strength to return to the Great Star Do Forest to seek revenge on the Sky Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape. The Clear Sky sect wouldn't be able to resist the temptation of 100,000-year Soul Ring and Soul Bone. Under Tang San's persuasion, they would definitely head to the Great Star Do Forest to hunt down the two soul beasts. Coincidentally, the person guarding the gate was the Bear Lord, who had more than 400,000 years of cultivation. His fighting strength was comparable to that of a half-step ultimate soul master. The Clear Sky sect would definitely be delighted to see him. Even if they could retreat, they would definitely leave behind the corpses of two titled Douluo. After all, the Bear Lord had learned sneak attacks. With his claws, he could probably kill an ordinary titled Douluo with a single swipe. Chapter 386. After this battle, the Clear Sky sect would definitely be greatly weakened. When the time came for the spirit hunt, it would be very easy for Hua Yuhao to wipe them out. In fact, if he wasn't afraid of alerting the enemy by wiping out the Clear Sky sect too early, Lu Yuan could have intercepted them after they were defeated by the Bear Lord. There was a lot of room for maneuvering. The key was when Tang San would take his revenge. If it was within the next 2 years, Hua Yuhao couldn't make a move, as he didn't want to disrupt the Martial Soul Palace's plans. However, if it was a few years later, the Great Star Do Forest would become the burial ground of the Clear Sky sect. Regardless of which, Lu Yuan had to help the Clear Sky sect find Tang San. Perhaps if Lu Yuan's guess was right, Tang San might also be looking for the Clear Sky sect. After all, he urgently needed power now, and only the Clear Sky sect could help him. Even if Tang San didn't know about the Clear Sky sect's existence, he still had a master by his side. Hua Yuhao didn't know much about other things, but he was very good at borrowing power. Lu Yuan was even worried that Hua Yuhao would look for Bibidon and borrow the Martial Soul Palace's power to help Tang San. After all, Hua Yuhao had shamelessly asked Bibidon for the secret of twin martial souls in the original novel. Hua Yuhao was willing to do anything for Tang San and his theory. As he thought until here, a fierce look flashed across Lu Yuan's eyes. He couldn't be bothered with Hua Yuhao right now, but this was based on the fact that Hua Yuhao knew his place and didn't cause trouble in front of him. If Hua Yuhao wanted to show off his presence in front of Bibidon and hurt Bibidon again, Hua Yuhao would let him know what cruelty was. Sometimes, death was the easiest thing to do. There were many things that were worse than death. When Chihiro Snow saw the stern look in Lu Yuan's eyes, he could not understand. Did this fellow hate the Supreme Sky sect that much? What Chihiro Snow didn't know was that Lu Yuan didn't hate the Clear Sky sect. To Lu Yuan, the destruction of the Clear Sky sect was just a small matter. What he cared about was that the Grandmaster wouldn't harm Bibidon again. That's right. After you spread the news, how do you know if the Supreme Sky sect sent anyone to contact Tang San? Chihiro Snow was somewhat confused. After all, they did not know where the Supreme Sky sect was hiding. It would be difficult to know if they had sent anyone to contact Tang San. That's simple. The owner of Yuxian is called Tang Yuhua, right? Lu Yuan asked. Yes. Yuxian is a place that teaches noble etiquette. I've seen Tang Yuhua before. She's a very elegant and noble lady, Chihiro Snow said. She's Tang Hao's younger sister. She has a very good relationship with her elder brother, Tang Hao. If she knew that Tang Hao had passed away and left behind an orphan, how do you think she would react? Would she go crazy looking for this Tang San? That's why we want to know if the Supreme Sky Sect has contacted Tang San. It's actually very simple. We just need to keep an eye on Tang Yuhua. We just need to keep an eye on Tang Yuhua's whereabouts. If she does something unusual one day, it might mean that she has met Tang San. Also, Cher, don't tell me that you don't know the relationship between Tang Yuhua and the Supreme Sky Sect. I think with your intelligence, it's impossible that you haven't investigated the owner of Yuxian, a place that has a great influence in the upper-class circle. Even if Tang Yuhua hides well, with your methods, you can definitely find some clues. Lu Yuan smiled faintly. You're the only one who knows the most. Chihiro Snow glanced at Lu Yuan with her beautiful eyes. As expected, this guy knew her well, just like how she knew him. Hee hee. Lu Yuan chuckled. He rubbed his chin on Chihiro Snow's head and hugged her even tighter. After leaving Chihiro Snow's place, Lu Yuan returned to the academy. He let Chihiro Snow spread the news of Tang Hao's death. This was also to plant a spy for his future operations. As for whether this would make Tang-san stronger, Lu Yuan didn't care. His target was the Supreme Sky Sect. As for Tang-san, other than the fact that he paid some attention to him in the beginning, he didn't even see Tang-san as an opponent now. Without Tang Hao and the vast sea cosmic shroud, Tang-san wasn't worth the effort to deal with at all. Perhaps some people would say that Tang-san was the son of fortune, and would quickly rise as soon as he had the chance. However, for some reason, Lu Yuan felt that Tang-san's fortune was ineffective against him. Or rather, it was crushed by his own fortune. Tang-san was always very unlucky whenever he was in front of him. It was just like in Shrek Academy. He only wanted to separate Tang-san and Xiao Wu. In the end, Tang Hao died, and Tang-san's personality changed drastically because of that. If it was just a coincidence, Lu Yuan felt that it might not be that simple. Lu Yuan felt as if there was a voice in his heart telling him not to worry too much about Tang-san, because no matter how much he grew, he wouldn't be able to threaten him. Lu Yuan had always believed in his feelings. So what if he gave Tang-san a chance to grow? With him suppressing him, Tang-san would never be able to make a comeback. The academy was very quiet as he walked into it. Many of the students were probably having their lessons in the classrooms. Lu Yuan walked towards the forest. Lu Yuan, Zhu Zhuqing, and the others lived in the academy. Like Liu Erlong, Lu Yuan and Zhu Zhuqing also liked peace and quiet. There were some new teaching buildings and dormitories being built in the west of the academy near the forest. This was the new inner courtyard that Lu Yuan had divided. Since he had divided the inner and outer courtyards, he had to do it thoroughly. The teaching buildings, dormitories, and cultivation facilities had to be brand new. Anyway, he had the support of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, so he didn't lack money now. He walked to the dormitory where Zhu Zhuqing and the others lived. Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong were cultivating at the door of the wooden house. Zhu Zhuqing was practicing the Phoenix Dance 6 Illusions movement technique. It had to be said that this movement technique was really suitable for Zhu Zhuqing. It hadn't been long, but Zhu Zhuqing had almost cultivated it to the Darching realm. She was almost catching up with Hu Liena. Hu Liena, on the other hand, had been cultivating it for more than 2 years. Ning Rongrong was brandishing the icefire sword that he had given her. Upon closer inspection, Tang Wulin realized that she was using a rather profound sword technique. The sword Douluo must have taught her this sword technique. After all, even though Lu Yuan had given her the icefire sword, Ning Rongrong didn't know any sword techniques. She couldn't effectively unleash the sword's power when she swung it around. This was why the sword Douluo had taught Ning Rongrong this sword technique. With the power of the icefire sword and the sword technique that the sword Douluo had taught her, Ning Rongrong could unleash a decent amount of power. At the very least, she would be able to protect herself. Chapter 387. Lu Yuan, you're back. Ning Rongrong was brandishing her long sword when she suddenly turned around and saw Lu Yuan's figure. Ning Rongrong immediately stopped her movements and called out. When Zhu Zhuqing heard Ning Rongrong's voice, she also stopped in her tracks. Out of the 6 figures that were flying, 5 of them slowly dissipated. You're back? Zhu Zhuqing asked in a gentle voice. Yes, I'm back. Lu Yuan smiled and nodded at Zhu Zhuqing. Lu Yuan looked at Ning Rongrong, who was hugging her sword with a joyful smile, and asked, have you gotten used to it? Ning Rongrong blinked her large eyes and said, it's all right, I've gotten used to it. It's just a bit boring without you around. Hearing this, Lu Yuan looked at Ning Rongrong's sparkling eyes and sighed slightly. How could he not know about Ning Rongrong's feelings? It was just that feelings were really difficult to force. There was nothing he could do if he didn't feel anything. With light steps, Lu Yuan walked forward and looked around. He asked, Where's Senior Douluo? Why are there only the two of you here? Isn't he supposed to protect you? Douluo Bo went to the Heaven Do Imperial Academy to pick up Douluo Yang. I'm here to watch over things. Liu Erlong walked out of the wooden house. Dean Erlong, you're here too. Lu Yuan greeted Liu Erlong when he saw her. Yes, Senior Douluo said he was going to pick up Douluo Yang. I happened to be free, so I came here to watch over them. Liu Erlong said. Then I'll have to trouble you for the past 2 days, Principal Erlong. Lu Yuan said. It's no trouble at all. These 2 girls are very likable. It's comfortable to be with them. My mood is much better with them around. Also, I'm the vice principal of the academy. It's my duty to take care of them. Liu Erlong smiled. Looking at the smile on Liu Erlong's face, Lu Yuan was slightly stunned. A few days ago, Liu Erlong still had a bitter face because she missed the master. Now, there was a smile on her face. It seemed that her mood had improved a lot. How did these 2 girls do it? However, this was also good. A person like the Grandmaster was really not worthy of Liu Erlong's grief. Now that Liu Erlong's mood had improved, it was also something to be happy about. Oh, by the way, don't call me Dean Erlong anymore. It sounds quite distant. Call me something else, Liu Erlong said. Change the way I address you. Then what should I call you? Lu Yuan was taken aback when he heard Liu Erlong's words. It did not seem appropriate to directly address Director Erlong by his name. It's up to you. Call me Liu Erlong or Auntie Erlong. Liu Erlong waved her hand nonchalantly. I think I'll call you Sister Erlong. You still look quite young. Calling you Auntie is a bit old, Lu Yuan said. Hihi, that's fine. It's just a title. As long as you like it. Hearing Lu Yuan say that she still looked young, Liu Erlong's face had a slight smile. She was not young anymore. She was already in her 40s. But women, who doesn't like others to call them young? And Lu Yuan naturally didn't mind calling Liu Erlong sister. Plus, in his previous life, his mental age was already in his 30s. Calling Liu Erlong sister was really not a problem. Well, now that you are back, I will leave first. I haven't watered the flowers today. Liu Erlong smiled. Then Sister Erlong, take care. Lu Yuan smiled slightly and said. Liu Erlong left. Lu Yuan found a place to sit down at the door. Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong didn't move. They just looked at him. Do what you need to do. Why are you looking at me? Looking at the 2 girls, Lu Yuan rolled his eyes and said. Oh, okay. Ning Rongrong nodded. She held the sword and was ready to start practicing. Wait. Lu Yuan's gaze turned and slightly tilted his head. Suddenly, he saw 2 figures in the distance approaching. He stopped them on the spot. What's wrong? Ning Rongrong looked at Lu Yuan in confusion. Didn't he say that he wanted her to practice swordsmanship? Why did he stop? Forget it. Don't practice anymore. Someone is coming. Let's practice tomorrow, Lu Yuan said. Ah! Hearing this, Ning Rongrong and Zhu Zhuqing both turned their heads and narrowed their eyes. In their line of sight, they saw 2 people approaching. It's Senior Douluo. Zhu Zhuqing's cold voice sounded. Ian, it's him. The one beside him is his granddaughter, Douluo Yang, Lu Yuan said softly. Zhuqing. Lu Yuan called softly. What's wrong? Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan in confusion. There's something I forgot to give to Rongrong. I only remembered it when Douluo Yang came over today, Lu Yuan said. What did you forget to give to me? Ning Rongrong immediately withdrew her gaze upon hearing Lu Yuan's words. She turned to Lu Yuan with an expectant look in her eyes. Lu Yuan waved his hand, and a strange flower appeared in Lu Yuan's hand. As soon as the flower appeared, a grand and luxurious aura suddenly emerged. A peculiar fragrance began to quickly spread through the air. What's this? Ning Rongrong stared at the strange flower in Lu Yuan's hand with curiosity in her eyes. This is called the beautiful silk tulip. It absorbs the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, as well as the essence of the sun and moon. It possesses mystical power. Your 7 treasures glazed pagoda is graceful and luxurious, so it perfectly matches the grandeur of this beautiful silk tulip. If you absorb this immortal herb, your cultivation level will increase significantly. At the same time, even your martial soul might undergo a certain transformation. Beautiful silk tulip. Ning Rongrong accepted the strange flower from Lu Yuan before carefully inspecting it. This beautiful silk tulip can increase one's soul power in an extremely stable manner, and it also has the effect of consolidating one's foundation, so you don't have to worry about an unstable foundation. On the contrary, it'll improve your cultivation aptitude. Zhu Qing has also consumed this immortal herb in the past, and her soul power has already reached rank 40. It won't be long before she obtains her 4th soul ring and becomes a soul ancestor. As for you, you're still at rank 29, right? After consuming this immortal herb, barring any mishaps, your soul power should be able to reach rank 35 or 36. Lu Yuan said. Really? Ning Rongrong turned to Lu Yuan with a hint of elation in her eyes. Of course. There's no reason for me to lie to you. Lu Yuan replied with a faint smile. Lu Yuan, you're so good to me. Ning Rongrong stared intently at Lu Yuan with an extremely touched expression on her face. She spread open her arms and was just about to rush over and hug Lu Yuan. Don't get too excited, Rongrong. Go and absorb the beautiful silk tulip first. Lu Yuan was given a massive fright at the sight of Ning Rongrong's actions. Zhu Qing was still beside him, and if he were to hug her, he would most likely have to sleep on the floor tonight. Ning Rongrong could only lower her arms upon hearing this, and she held the beautiful silk tulip in her left hand as she asked, "All right, then how do I eat this thing?" Chapter 388. You just need to gently suck on the stamen. After that, sit cross-legged and meditate to condense your soul power to absorb the medicinal effects. Zhu Qing, take Rongrong to the side to consume it. You protect her. I still need to help Dugu Yang deal with her poison, Lu Yuan said. Okay, I got it. Zhu Qing nodded and said to Ning Rongrong, Rongrong, let's go. Okay, then I'll go first. Ning Rongrong said to Lu Yuan. Go. Lu Yuan nodded and said softly. Zhu Qing brought Ning Rongrong into the wooden house. Lu Yuan also turned around to look at Dugu Bo and Dugu Yang, who were getting closer and closer. Hall Master. Dugu Bo brought Dugu Yang to Lu Yuan and called out softly. Senior Dugu, you came back at the right time. I just returned to the academy not long ago. Lu Yuan smiled and said. I have to say that Yan Yan's luck is really good. She met the Hall Master as soon as she came. Dugu Bo chuckled. Lu Yuan smiled faintly and shifted his gaze to Dugu Yang, who was at the side. Long time no see, Miss Dugu. Lu Yuan greeted. Indeed, it's been a long time. Dugu Yang's tone was gentle. She looked at Lu Yuan with a complicated expression. It was this person who had single-handedly destroyed Yu Tianheng and made him lose his confidence. He was like a pile of mud that couldn't be supported. However, Dugu Yang couldn't bring herself to hate him. Lu Yuan had defeated Yu Tianheng fair and square. Furthermore, Lu Yuan was younger than Yu Tianheng by 5 or 6 years. Even so, Yu Tianheng was still defeated. Who could she blame? She could only blame herself for not being capable enough. Moreover, for the current Dugu Yang, she had already given up on Yu Tianheng. Such a man was not worthy of her, Dugu Yang. It was just a single failure, and he had become like this. His self-esteem was too strong, and his endurance was too weak. He could not recover from a single setback. This was not a good match for her, Dugu Yang. Dugu Yang's man could fail, but he could never admit defeat. She liked the kind of man who was heroic, high-spirited, and would never admit defeat. She used to think that Yu Tianheng was like that, but it turned out that Yu Tianheng was not. Therefore, Dugu Yang had slowly let go of her past feelings. Looking at the purple-haired and enchanting figure of Dugu Yang, Lu Yuan couldn't help but secretly nod his head. Honestly speaking, Dugu Yang could also be considered a great beauty, especially her figure, especially that snake-like waist, thin as if it had no bones. It was no wonder that Yu Tianheng would be infatuated with her. Dugu Yang was like a legendary snake beauty, emitting a unique temptation. However, what kind of person was Lu Yuan? He had seen countless beauties. Holy and pure like Chihiro Snow, sexy and charming like Hulena, graceful and noble like Bibidon, cold face and hot figure like Zhu. Not to mention the almost perfect Gu Yuana. Lu Yuan's standards were extremely high now. Therefore, even if it was a top beauty like Dugu Yang, he only glanced at her slightly before moving his gaze away. We haven't seen each other for 2 years. I didn't expect to see such a scene. Dugu Yang sighed. She really didn't expect that in just 2 years, this young man in front of her would develop to such an extent. Even her grandfather had become this young man's subordinate. Moreover, he had also solved the nightmare that had plagued their jade-scaled snake bloodline for a long time. Her father had died because of the jade-scaled snake's martial soul. However, this problem was solved by Lu Yuan. The poison in her grandfather's body was completely under control, and he had even condensed a poison pill. Even his soul power had increased by 2 ranks. Dugu Yang couldn't help but be shocked. Hundreds of thoughts ran through her mind. Today, her grandfather had brought her here to let him control the poison in her body. Dugu Yang's feelings were actually very complicated. Compared to him, so-called geniuses like her were nothing, right? After hearing Dugu Yang's words, Lu Yuan didn't comment. He could roughly understand Dugu Yang's feelings. It was complicated and hard to say. However, this had nothing to do with him. He was only responsible for controlling the poison in Dugu Yang's body. Hallmaster, what do you think of Yanyan's current situation? Dugu Bo asked. Lu Yuan glanced at Dugu Yang and said, the poison hasn't seeped into her internal organs. The situation isn't serious. I'll prescribe a few pills to suppress the poison in her body. When she becomes a Soul King, you can teach her the poison pill method. Then, she can try to condense a poison pill. With your guidance, it shouldn't be too difficult for her to condense a poison pill. Once the poison pill is successfully condensed, her cultivation speed will increase by a lot. If she continues to grow smoothly, it won't be difficult for her to surpass you in the future. Good, that's good. Dugu Bo said with a happy expression. He was naturally happy that Lu Yuan said that Dugu Yang would surpass him in the future. He was most concerned about this granddaughter of his. The greater Dugu Yang's achievements in the future, the happier he would be. Hallmaster, what medicinal herbs do you need to refine the pill? This old man will go back and prepare them now. Dugu Bo said. There's no need. I've already prepared them. Follow me. Lu Yuan turned around and walked to the wooden house to the side. Yang, let's follow. Dugu Bo followed behind Lu Yuan with Dugu Yang. When they passed by the wooden house where Zhu Zhuqing and Ning Rongrong were, Dugu Bo couldn't help but glance at it. When he saw the golden light flickering inside, he couldn't help but ask, Hallmaster, is there someone cultivating in that wooden house? It's Ning Rongrong. She just ate an immortal herb from your icefire yin-yang well. It can improve one's cultivation aptitude and increase one's soul power. Of course, you don't have to think too much about it. I've already prepared Dugu Yang's. Lu Yuan said without turning his head. Oh, okay. Thank you, Hallmaster. Dugu Bo knew that the herbs Lu Yuan took were definitely very precious. However, he didn't know what they were used for. Furthermore, Lu Yuan had helped him so much. In his heart, he had tacitly agreed to give the icefire yin-yang well to Lu Yuan. Dugu Bo originally thought that he didn't need to do anything. However, he didn't expect that the Hallmaster had already chosen a suitable one for Yang Yang. He had to admit that the Hallmaster was a very humane person. Dugu Bo felt that serving the Hallmaster was worth it just because of this. Creak. Lu Yuan pushed open the door of his wooden house and walked to a table to sit down. You guys have a seat too. There's water on the table. It should be prepared by Zhu Qing. If you want to drink, pour it yourself. Lu Yuan said softly. There's no need, Hallmaster. We're not thirsty. Dugu Bo said. Since you're not thirsty, let's get down to business. Lu Yuan waved his left hand gently. Light flickered and bottles of pills were placed on the table. Chapter 389. There were a total of 6 bottles of pills. 5 of the bottles were filled with white jade, while the other bottle was filled with warm yellow jade. Warm yellow jade was considered a high-grade jade, and it was usually used to store relatively expensive items. Lu Yuan pushed the 6 bottles of pills to Douluo Bo and Douluo Yang. "Hallmaster, are these the pills you've refined?" Douluo Bo asked curiously. Other than the antidote pill, there are 5 other types of pills. When I was refining the pills, I said that I would prepare a portion for Douluo Yang, so I naturally won't go back on my word. The name of each pill is written on the jade bottle. You just have to look at it clearly when you eat it. I've prepared a total of 10 antidote pills that can suppress the poison in Douluo Yang's body. Eat 1 pill every 3 days. After eating all 10 pills, your injuries can be suppressed for 50 to 40% of the time. 4 years should be enough for you to cultivate to the Soul King realm. Once you reach the Soul King realm, you can start refining the poison pill. You won't have to worry about the poison erupting. It's even better if it erupts. After refining the poison pill, the stronger the poison, the greater the effect it has on your cultivation. Lu Yuan said. Break through to the Soul King realm in 5 years. Hearing Lu Yuan's words, Douluo Yang couldn't help but cry out in surprise. "What, is there a problem?" Lu Yuan asked indifferently. "This might be a little difficult." Douluo Yang bit her red lips and said. "How is it difficult to break through to the Soul King realm in 4 years? You're rank 37 now, and you've only risen a total of 13 ranks in 4 years. On average, you've only risen a little more than 3 ranks per year. What's so difficult about this?" Glancing at Douluo Yang, Lu Yuan frowned slightly. Douluo Yang bit her red lips. Breaking through to the Soul King realm in 4 years was indeed a very difficult thing for her. She wasn't as abnormal as Lu Yuan. Thinking of this, Douluo Yang looked at Lu Yuan with bitter eyes. Cough cough. "Hallmaster, please don't mind her. Yang isn't you after all. It's easy for you to increase your cultivation by 3 levels every year, but it's still a bit stressful for Yang. Furthermore, after becoming a soul ancestor, it's still quite difficult for her to increase her cultivation by 1 level. Douluo Bo immediately tried to smooth things over when he saw that Lu Yuan was frowning slightly. "I know what you're talking about, but for her, it's not difficult for her to advance by 3 levels every year. You'll understand if you continue listening to me." Lu Yuan waved his hand and said. "All right, Palace Master, please continue." Douluo Bo said. "Here are 6 bottles of pills. Other than the antidote pills, there are 5 bottles left. The 4 white jade bottles contain the rejuvenation pill, soul return pill, chi tempering pill, and body tempering pill. The rejuvenation pill recovers injuries, the soul return pill recovers soul force, the chi tempering pill refines soul force and makes it purer. The body tempering pill refines the body and increases the strength of the body. I've prepared 5 pills for each of these 4 bottles for you to use. I won't say much. After you've finished using them, you can ask Senior Douluo to let me know. If I have time, I'll refine them again and give you some when the time comes. After all, you're also a member of our Dragon King Hall. I want to remind you of the pills in the yellow jade bottles. They're called Spirit Ascension pills. They're used to increase soul force. As a soul exalt, 1 pill will definitely allow you to break through a level. As a soul ancestor, there's a high chance you'll break through a level. A person can only take 5 Spirit Ascension pills at most. After 5, there's basically no effect. Therefore, I've prepared 5 pills. When you reach the Soul Ancestor Lake, these 5 Spirit Ascension pills will help you break through to the 3rd level of soul force at the very least. With the help of these pills, are you still afraid you won't be able to break through to the Soul King rank within 4 years? Are you confident now? Lu Yuan looked at Douluo Yang with a burning gaze. Yes. Douluo Yang nodded. She looked at Lu Yuan with a pair of flirtatious eyes. Her dark green pupils flickered with a strange light. "It's good that you're confident. Put these pills away," Lu Yuan said. "Yes." Douluo Yang nodded and put all the pills into her personal soul tool. "Now, I'm going to give you the real heavyweight item. After you consume it, You'll only need to obtain one more soul ring to become a soul ancestor. Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Hearing this, Dugu Yang and Dugu Bo looked at Lu Yuan curiously. They wanted to see what Lu Yuan had taken out. Lu Yuan flipped his palm slightly, and a small golden melon that was about the size of 2 fists appeared in his hand. With the appearance of the golden melon, there seemed to be a heavy charm in the air. At the same time, a strange aroma filled the air. Suddenly, the 3 people in the room, including Lu Yuan, felt as if they were salivating. The Earth Dragon Golden Melon possessed the bloodline of an Earth Dragon to a certain extent. It was very compatible with the bloodline of dragons. Lu Yuan was a golden dragon. This Earth Dragon Golden Melon was very useful to him. However, he had consumed the star anise mysterious ice grass and the blazing delicate apricot, and hadn't completely absorbed them. Therefore, the Earth Dragon Golden Melon wasn't very effective to him. Although the jade scale snake was a snake, it was also a dragon. Therefore, this Earth Dragon Golden Melon was also very useful to them. If Dugu Yang was lucky, she might even obtain the bloodline of an Earth Dragon. Her martial soul might even evolve. After all, the jade scale snake was a top-ranked martial soul. However, there was still a lot of room for improvement. Even the blue lightning tyrant dragon was much stronger than the jade scale snake. Therefore, if Dugu Yang's lucky star really shone, it was very likely that her martial spirit would undergo a transformation. This is called the Earth Dragon Golden Melon. I believe Elder Dugu has seen it before. Lu Yuan smiled. Yes, I have seen it before. When I saw it, I felt like eating it. However, I didn't know what it was, and I was afraid that something would happen if I ate it. Therefore, I didn't touch it. Dugu Bo said. Haha, it's fortunate that you didn't eat it. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to find a suitable herb for Dugu Yang. Furthermore, this thing isn't very useful to you. It's just a mouthful. It might not even be able to increase your soul power by 1 rank. Lu Yuan chuckled. A titled Douluo was already one of the most powerful individuals on the continent. The Earth Dragon Golden Melon might be able to increase Dugu Yang's soul power by a few ranks. However, it might not even be able to increase Dugu Bo's soul power by 1 rank. It would be a waste to consume it. This wasn't like the singular velvet sky chrysanthemum to the chrysanthemum Douluo. The chrysanthemum Douluo's martial soul was the singular velvet sky chrysanthemum. Therefore, this singular velvet sky chrysanthemum was very useful to him. If it were anyone else, such as Dai Mubai in the original novel, they would only be able to absorb 80% of the medicine's effects. The rest would be wasted. However, in the chrysanthemum Douluo's hands, this singular velvet sky chrysanthemum could be used as a key. It could unleash 200% of its effects. It was very likely that the chrysanthemum Douluo would be able to increase his soul power. Chapter 390. This Earth Dragon Golden Melon is most suitable for soul masters with dragon-type martial souls. The jade-scaled snake is also considered a dragon-type, so it will be very useful for Dugu Yang. Lu Yuan handed the melon to Dugu Yang as he spoke. Dugu Yang took it and asked, "How do I eat this?" "Eat it the way you normally eat melons." Lu Yuan smiled and said, "Oh, yes. You can keep the seed of this Earth Dragon Golden Melon. It can grow again if you plant it in the Icefire Yin-Yang well." Lu Yuan said. "Okay." Dugu Yang nodded and looked around as if she was looking for something. "You don't have to find another place. Absorb it in my wooden house. We will protect you," Lu Yuan said. "Okay." After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Dugu Yang found a clean place and sat down cross-legged. She finished the Earth Dragon Golden Melon and closed her eyes to meditate and absorb her soul power. "Hall Master, is this Earth Dragon Golden Melon really that effective?" Dugu Bo asked curiously as he looked at Dugu Yang's body that was shining with golden light. "It's more effective than I said. After consuming the Earth Dragon Golden Melon, Dugu Yang's soul power will definitely reach rank 40. After absorbing her 4th soul ring, her soul power will probably increase by 1 or 2 ranks. When that happens, her soul power should be around rank 41 or 42. With the Spirit Ascension pill, her soul power will at least reach rank 44 or 45. If she can't break through to become a Soul King in the remaining 4 years, I'll really look down on her. Lu Yuan said. That won't happen. Don't worry, Hall Master. Yang Yang won't let you down. Douluo Bo said. I'm just saying. I know Douluo Yang's talent. Although she's not a monster, she's still a genius. With her talent, 2 years might be enough. She might not even need 4 years. Lu Yuan said softly. You're right, Hall Master. Douluo Bo laughed. Oh yes, Hall Master, there's something I want to discuss with you. Douluo Bo was stunned for a moment before he suddenly said. What is it? Lu Yuan said. I want Yang Yang to join the Heavenly Star Academy, what do you think? Douluo Bo said. Why did you suddenly make such a decision? Isn't she doing well in the Heaven Do Imperial Academy? Lu Yuan looked at Douluo Bo in confusion. Thanks to you, Hall Master, isn't this old man a guest elder of the Academy? I've been staying in the Academy for a long time, so I haven't seen Yang Yang much. That's why I wanted to bring Yang Yang over. That way, we'll have more chances to meet, Douluo Bo said. Really? Lu Yuan carefully sized up Douluo Bo. Who are you trying to fool with this reason? You're just a guest elder of the Academy. Who would stop you if you wanted to go out? You're not the dean, and you don't have so many things to do. What are you doing in the Academy all day? When I'm free, you don't need to stay in the Academy to take care of Jujuqing and the others. You can go wherever you want and no one will stop you. After all, the Dragon King Palace hasn't been built yet. Now there are enough herbs and you don't need to do anything. In the end, you told me that you didn't have time to go out and that you didn't have many chances to meet Douluo Yang. Do you really think I'm stupid? Senior Douluo, letting Douluo Yang join the Heavenly Star Academy is only a small matter, but you have to find a suitable reason. What you said just now, anyone with a discerning eye would know that it was a lie. Lu Yuan rolled his eyes and said. As expected, I can't hide it from the Hall Master. Actually, I don't think the Heaven Do Imperial Academy is very optimistic. After all, with the Hall Master, next year's Continental Elite Soul Master Tournament will be very easy. The Heaven Do Imperial Academy is just a bystander. Yang Yang won't be of much use there. Furthermore, isn't our Heaven Star Academy's team still lacking people? We can let Yang Yang fill in the numbers. When the time comes, we can also take the championship. Douluo Bo laughed mischievously. That's a rather convincing reason. Lu Yuan rubbed his chin and said, other than me and Jujuqing, there's only Ning Rongrong left in our team. There's only 3 of us, and Douluo Yang can fill the gap. Furthermore, Douluo Yang is a control-type Soul Master, so she's more suitable. Right. Hall Master, you also think that it's suitable. Then it's settled. I'll let Yang Yang join the Heaven Star Academy later. After hearing Lu Yuan's words, Douluo Bo's old face smiled like a chrysanthemum. Have you asked Douluo Yang's opinion? Did she agree? After all, she's been in the Heaven Do Imperial Academy for a long time. I'm afraid that she has feelings for her teammates. You can't force Douluo Yang to join when she doesn't agree. If that happens, it'll make everyone unhappy. Lu Yuan said. I've asked, and Yang Yang didn't oppose it. To tell you the truth, ever since Yu Tianheng left, the Heaven Do Imperial Academy has been like a sheet of loose sand. The only one who has a good relationship with Yang Yang is that little girl from the Nine-Hearted Begonia sect. In fact, Yang Yang also said that she's not very comfortable in the Heaven Do Imperial Academy. That's why she didn't refuse when I asked her. Instead, she agreed. Douluo Bo said. Is that so? That's good. Lu Yuan nodded. He did not want his team members to not be on the same page and cause any trouble. Right, Senior Douluo, you mentioned the Nine-Hearted Begonia sect. Do you think we can rope them in? Lu Yuan asked. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. The Nine-Hearted Begonia sect situation isn't very good right now. Due to the Nine-Hearted Begonia sect's excellent supplementary effects and heaven-defying healing abilities, Many powers are eyeing them. They should need a force to protect them. If our Dragon King Palace acts with more sincerity, we might be able to rope them in. Douluo said. Then I'll have to trouble Senior Douluo. After all, you know the Nine-Hearted Begonia sect better than I do. I'll leave it to you. If they have any conditions, as long as they aren't too excessive, you can agree to them. If there's anything you can't decide on, come back and tell me. I'll personally negotiate with them. Lu Yuan looked at Douluo and said. All right, leave it to this old man. Douluo patted his chest and said. Good, then it's settled. You stay here and watch over Douluo Yang. I'll go check out the situation. Lu Yuan nodded and said. Then take care, Palace Lord. Douluo's voice sounded. Hearing this, Lu Yuan nodded slightly and turned to leave the room. Looking at the glaring golden light that occasionally shone from Zhu Zhuqing's wooden house, Lu Yuan blinked his eyes and gently walked in the direction of the wooden house. Chapter 391. Tap, tap, tap. The sound of light footsteps rang out, and Lu Yuan strode into Zhu Zhuqing's wooden cabin. Zhu Zhuqing was looking at Ning Rongrong when she heard the sound of footsteps, and she turned to look at Lu Yuan with a warm smile on her face. You're here. Zhu Zhuqing exclaimed. Douluo Yang has already consumed the Earth Dragon Golden Melon, and Douluo is keeping an eye on her. I took some time off to come here and see how Rongrong is doing, Lu Yuan said with a smile. Rongrong is doing well, she's absorbed the beautiful silk tulip very smoothly. Her compatibility with this beautiful silk tulip is even better than my compatibility with the daffodil jade. Rongrong has most likely made a lot of progress this time, Zhu Zhuqing said. It is indeed a lot of progress. To Rongrong, this beautiful silk tulip is the greatest opportunity of her life as it gives her a chance to become a titled Douluo, Lu Yuan said in a soft voice. What do you mean by that? Zhu Zhuqing turned to Lu Yuan with a perplexed look on her face. That's because even though the Seven Treasures Glazed Pagoda is known as the #1 auxiliary-type martial soul in the world, it has a fatal flaw. Every soul master in the Seven Treasures Glazed Pagoda can only cultivate up to 7 rings at most. For example, Ning Fengji is currently a rank 79 soul sage, and he won't be able to break through to become a soul sage in his lifetime. However, after consuming this beautiful silk tulip, Rongrong's 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda will evolve into the 9 Treasures Glazed Pagoda, and she'll be able to become a titled Douluo. As an auxiliary-type titled Douluo with the 9 Treasures Glazed Pagoda martial soul, her auxiliary abilities will be extremely fearsome. Perhaps the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda will evolve into the 9 Treasures Glazed Pagoda under Rongrong's guidance. Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. You sure are good to Rongrong, Zhu Zhuqing said after hearing Lu Yuan's words. I'm just trying to rope her in, Lu Yuan said as he strode forward and swept Zhu Zhuqing into his arms. Is that really the case? Zhu Zhuqing asked as she leaned against Lu Yuan's chest. Of course, Lu Yuan said. Lu Yuan, Rongrong likes you very much. Zhu Zhuqing raised her head slightly and looked at Lu Yuan. Hearing this, Lu Yuan was slightly taken aback, and then instantly recovered. His palm gently stroked Zhu Zhuqing's long hair. Of course I know this. Lu Yuan, if you like Rongrong, why don't you take her in as well? Zhu Zhuqing bit her red lips and said. Hearing this, Lu Yuan looked at Zhu Zhuqing in shock. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Zhuqing, what are you talking about? Haven't you always been the most resistant to me finding someone else? It doesn't sound like something you'd say today. I've always been by your side to remind you. It's not that I'm really narrow-minded and can't tolerate anyone. I'm just afraid that you'll fall in love with everyone you see. I can allow you to be sentimental, but you can't be fickle in love. Zhu Zhuqing said. Promiscuous? Lu Yuan looked at Zhu Zhuqing strangely. Then how many do you think are sentimental and how many are fickle in love? Lu Yuan, what do you mean by this? Do you want to find a few more? Zhu Zhuqing stared at Lu Yuan. Is this guy trying to test my bottom line and then do something inappropriate? No, I'm just asking casually. I don't mean anything else. Lu Yuan quickly said. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Lu Yuan suspiciously, but she didn't find anything strange. Then, she slowly retracted her gaze. Since you've already cooperated with the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, with your character, you definitely want to tie them to your chariot. In fact, as long as you take Rongrong, the Seven Treasures Glazed sect can't leave even if they want to. They can only be used by you. Unlike now, you want to use them and still guard against them. And Rongrong likes you so much. Do you know? When you weren't around, Rongrong told me everything. She said that she must catch up with you. Her feelings for you are real. If you really like her, then accept her. Zhu Zhuqing's voice was soft, but it was like a small hammer that directly hit Lu Yuan's heart. Zhuqing. His right hand that was stroking Zhu Zhuqing's long hair paused slightly. Lu Yuan sighed softly. He really didn't expect Zhu Zhuqing to say such words. Now, it seemed that among his women, Zhu Zhuqing was always the most sensible one. She was really sensible. Although she was jealous, she would also give in at the critical moment. Lu Yuan, are you worried about Chihiro Snow? Zhu Zhuqing said softly. Lu Yuan opened his mouth but didn't say anything. All along, you've only been concerned about the three of us. Among the three of us, Helena listens to you the most. She won't stop you from doing anything. Although she sometimes talks about it, if you really want to do something, she'll definitely be the first to support you. And now, I don't have any objections. The only thing you're worried about is Chihiro Snow. She's very arrogant. I can see that when I was in front of her, I was a little nervous. With Helena and me, you feel very sorry for her in your heart, so when you face her, you instinctively choose to accommodate her. Her opinion is the most important to you, right? Zhu Zhuqing said. After hearing this, Lu Yuan fell silent. He did feel sorry for Chihiro Snow in his heart, so he had always been very obedient to her. Even though the berserk rhino Douluo had been acting as her spy and trying to control information about him, he had chosen to acquiesce. As long as he could tell Chihiro Snow, he had told her all of his secrets. Wasn't this also to make up for the guilt in his heart? He had no choice. After all, he was a playboy. A playboy would always feel guilty in front of his wife. Lu Yuan. Zhu Zhuqing called out softly. Don't say any more, Zhuqing. Lu Yuan interrupted Zhu Zhuqing. Let me think about it. Lu Yuan sighed in his heart. If Ning Rongrong was the fourth, it would be fine. The problem was that there was already Gu Yuana. He was still worried about how to explain it. How could he be in the mood to flirt with her? All right then. After all, we're still young. We have plenty of time in the future. Just don't hurt Rongrong when you're dealing with this. I've had a good time with her over the past 2 days. Her stubbornness about relationships is very similar to mine. Zhu Zhuqing said. You've given me another big problem. He rubbed Zhu Zhuqing's head. He had always purposely ignored Ning Rongrong's feelings for him because he was afraid of getting into trouble like this. He didn't expect Zhu Zhuqing to take the initiative to bring it up today. This was a little difficult for him. It wasn't easy for Chihiro Snow to take a step back for him. If he took Ning Rongrong in now, who knew what she would think? Lu Yuan patted his face helplessly and sighed softly. It's all because of my damned charm. Why am I so handsome? For the first time, he was troubled by his looks. Chapter 392. Narcissus. Zhu Zhuqing was a little exasperated as she looked at the man in front of her. This man was really good at everything, apart from being fickle and narcissistic. Lu Yuan didn't seem to mind at all when he heard that. Instead, he moved his face closer to Zhu Zhuqing's. Did I say something wrong? Am I not handsome? Not handsome. Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes and said. Is that so? Then why do I remember that someone was stunned when I took off my mask for the first time? Lu Yuan's lips curled into a smirk as he said. You're still talking about that. Zhu Zhuqing blushed. Yes, she was indeed a little dazed when she saw Lu Yuan's face for the first time. After all, that was the first time she had seen a man as handsome as Lu Yuan. However, she was still very embarrassed when Lu Yuan said that. After all, she was still quite shy. Hee. Lu Yuan smirked. He slowly tightened his grip around Zhu Zhuqing's waist and hugged her tightly. Lu Yuan, Lena should be here soon, right? Zhu Zhuqing asked. It should be in the next few days. I think the chrysanthemum Douluo should be here with senior sister. Lu Yuan glanced at Ning Rongrong and lowered his voice. Then where do you plan to meet them? Their identities can't be exposed, right? Zhu Zhuqing asked. Let's meet in the setting sun forest. There are fewer people there. When the time comes, I'll send Dugu Bo out to recruit people. I can also meet senior sister and the others at the Icefire Yin-Yang well. After absorbing the immortal herb, I'll immediately send her back, Lu Yuan said. So heartless. You're not going to let her stay for a while longer? Zhu Zhuqing asked. I'm not heartless. It's just that it's inconvenient for her to stay here for too long. It's easy for her identity to be exposed. Secondly, Cher has a small opinion of her. If they meet, something unpleasant might happen, Lu Yuan said softly. I'm afraid Lena won't leave so easily. You know how much she clings to you. It wasn't easy for you to bring her here, so how could she leave so easily? Haven't you heard of the saying it's easier to invite a devil in than to send it away? Zhu Zhuqing said meaningfully. You're still thinking about what happened in Martial Spirit City. Lu Yuan pinched Zhu Zhuqing's cheeks helplessly. This girl probably still remembered how Lena had dominated Lu Yuan for 2 months in Martial Spirit City. Zhu Zhuqing snorted softly and turned her head away. All right, don't be angry. Come to my room tonight. I'll let you hug me to sleep. Lu Yuan smiled. Hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing's face instantly turned red. She stole a glance at Ning Rongrong, who was absorbing the medicinal strength. Then, she pretended to be embarrassed and glared at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan smiled and gently caressed Zhu Zhuqing's face. He said, Zhuqing, you've taken the qi tempering pill, and your soul power has stabilized. Tonight, I'll give you a big gift. Once you've finished absorbing the medicinal strength, senior sister will be here. Then, you two can go and get your soul rings together. Okay. Zhu Zhuqing nodded lightly. There was a trace of anticipation on her face. Lu Yuan had always said that he had a big gift for her, but he never told her what it was. This made her very curious. What exactly did Lu Yuan want to give her? He gently hugged Zhu Zhuqing. Not long after, another quarter of an hour passed. The golden light on Ning Rongrong's body gradually faded. From the looks of it, the absorption of the medicinal strength should be coming to an end. Seeing that Ning Rongrong was about to finish absorbing the medicinal strength, Zhu Zhuqing squirmed out from Lu Yuan's embrace. She stood to the side and observed Ning Rongrong's situation with her beautiful eyes. The golden light slowly receded until it completely entered Ning Rongrong's body. Then, Ning Rongrong's eyes, which had been closed all this time, suddenly opened. A pair of blue eyes flickered with a bright light. Lu Yuan. Ning Rongrong saw Lu Yuan in front of her with a single glance. Immediately, a trace of pleasant surprise appeared on her face. There was a trace of excitement in her voice. How do you feel after absorbing the medicinal strength? Lu Yuan asked with a faint smile. It feels very good. My entire body feels light, as if I've been reborn. Furthermore, my soul power has reached rank 30. Ning Rongrong said with a sweet smile on her face. Oh, is that it? Take a look at your martial soul. Do you see any changes? Lu Yuan said. Martial soul? Ning Rongrong turned to Lu Yuan with a perplexed look on her face. Then, she extended her right hand, and a lavish and intricate pagoda of vibrant colors immediately appeared over her hand. There aren't any changes, Ning Rongrong said after taking a casual glance at it. Count carefully. How many levels are there? Lu Yuan asked in a soft voice. Oh. Ning Rongrong nodded. Then, Her eyes narrowed slightly as she began to count. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. How could there be 9 levels? Ning Rongrong exclaimed with an astonished look on her face. However, her astonishment was intermingled with immense elation. The beautiful silk tulip absorbs the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, as well as the essence of the sun and moon, so it's most suited to a lavish and extravagant treasure-type martial soul like the 7 treasures glazed pagoda. I was already expecting that your martial soul would evolve from the 7 treasures glazed pagoda to the 9 treasures glazed pagoda, Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Lu Yuan. Ning Rongrong raised her head, and an unprecedented light flashed in her eyes. All of a sudden, she abruptly rushed forward and threw herself into Lu Yuan's arms before planting a kiss on Lu Yuan's lips. Lu Yuan's heart jolted upon seeing this, and he hurriedly turned his head to the side. Ning Rongrong's red lips were pressed directly onto Lu Yuan's face. Lu Yuan gently pushed Ning Rongrong's head away with a resigned look on his face. Why did this little girl suddenly launch a sneak attack on him? She almost succeeded. Thank God he reacted quickly enough. Ning Rongrong was a little disappointed that she wasn't able to kiss Lu Yuan's lips, but she still wore a smile on her face. Thank you, Lu Yuan, I'm truly grateful to you. Thank you for helping me complete the goal that countless seniors of our 7 treasures glazed pagoda have been pursuing for a long time. You evolved the 7 treasures glazed pagoda into the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. This is far too important to our 7 treasures glazed pagoda, and I really don't know how to thank you. Ning Rongrong looked at Lu Yuan, and her beautiful eyes sparkled. Her face was full of gratitude. You don't have to thank me. Aren't we friends now? Lu Yuan smiled faintly. Yes, we're friends now. Ning Rongrong stared intently at Lu Yuan, and her beautiful eyes were filled with passion. She thought to herself, friends? I'm not satisfied with just being friends. Lu Yuan, I might have to go home for a while. Ning Rongrong suddenly said after staring at Lu Yuan for a while. Yes, you're going back to tell Uncle Ning about your martial soul. That's right. The appearance of the 9 treasures glazed pagoda is far too important to the 7 treasures glazed pagoda. You do have to go home, then. Anyway, there aren't any classes in the academy for the time being. You can go home and tell Uncle Ning about it, and obtain your 3rd soul ring at the same time. Lu Yuan smiled as he spoke. Chapter 393. Setting Sun Forest, Icefire Yin-Yang Well. Lu Yuan sat with his legs crossed beside the scorching sun spring, and there was a massive cauldron in front of him. He was gently making hand gestures, and the flames within the cauldron were pulsing. The intensity of the flames fluctuated from time to time, but it always maintained the most suitable temperature. It had been 3 days since he had returned to the academy. 3 days ago, Lu Yuan had given Ning Rongrong and Dugu Yang immortal herbs, then rested for the night before returning here. It had to be said that immortal herbs were indeed extraordinary. A single stalk of beautiful silk tulip had allowed Ning Rongrong's martial soul to evolve from the 7 treasures glazed pagoda to the 9 treasures glazed pagoda. A single earth dragon golden melon had also allowed Dugu Yang's jade-scaled snake martial soul to successfully evolve into a jade-scaled flood dragon. At the same time, Dugu Yang had also broken through to rank 40. Dugu Bo had taken Dugu Yang to hunt for a soul ring the day before, and now, Dugu Yang had already broken through to rank 42. She had become a soul ancestor in an instant, and this was a massive improvement. Lu Yuan's eyes flashed as he looked at the pills that were gradually taking shape in the cauldron. He slowly withdrew the flames, leaving only a few residual flames to nurture the pills. Under the nourishment of the residual flames, the surface of the pills gradually became smooth and round, and they were shimmering with a peculiar color. A faint pill aroma gradually wafted into Lu Yuan's nose. It's about time. Lu Yuan murmured to himself as he removed the lid of the cauldron. He gently patted the walls of the cauldron, and the pills within the cauldron immediately flew out. Lu Yuan gently waved a hand, and all of the pills flew into his hand. They're all of high quality. Looks like supreme-grade pills really are difficult to refine, Lu Yuan murmured to himself as he placed the pills in his hand into a jade bottle. This was already the 5th cauldron of spirit ascension pills that he had refined, and his success rate had increased significantly. There were also more and more high-quality pills, but there was still no sign of supreme-grade pills. This level of supreme-grade pills was truly difficult to reach. Lu Yuan put away the elixir, but Zhu Zhuqing's figure quietly landed beside him. "How is it? Did you enjoy the thrill of flying?" Lu Yuan turned to look at Zhu Zhuqing and chuckled. 3 nights ago, Lu Yuan had given the right leg bone of the 100,000-year-old blue-silver emperor to Zhu Zhuqing. At the time, Zhu Zhuqing had been very touched, and she had served him well that night. 100,000-year soul bone was naturally extraordinary. After absorbing this soul bone, Zhu Zhuqing's physique had strengthened by quite a bit. According to Lu Yuan's estimation, it shouldn't be a problem for her to take a 15,000-year soul ring and below as her 4th ring. As for the 10,000-year soul beast spiritual shock, Lu Yuan could use his polychoria to get rid of the resentment within. The remaining resentment shouldn't be a problem for Zhu Zhuqing, who had been tempered by the life crystal. Therefore, Zhu Zhuqing had a 90% chance of obtaining the 4th ring. "Flying feels pretty good, but I have a question," Zhu Zhuqing said. "What doubts?" Lu Yuan asked. "Generally speaking, don't 100,000-year soul bones have 2 skills? But right now, I can only feel the flying skill," Zhu Zhuqing said. "And here I thought it was something else. The 2nd skill of the right leg bone of the blue-silver emperor is wildfire can't be blown away, reborn by the spring breeze. It's an extremely powerful recovery skill that can heal the body's injuries. You're not injured right now, so it's normal that you can't feel it." Lu Yuan smiled. "Heal my injuries?" Zhu Zhuqing nodded. "So that's how it is. Lu Yuan, you're so good to me." Zhu Zhuqing suddenly stepped forward and hugged Lu Yuan. This man was even willing to give her a 100,000-year soul bone. His love for her was evident. Hearing this, Lu Yuan smiled and said, "Since you know that I'm good to you, then you have to be more obedient in the future, okay? Don't throw a tantrum so easily." "Okay, I know," Zhu Zhuqing said softly and buried her head in Lu Yuan's embrace. "I heard that Senior Douluo went out early in the morning to rope in other factions?" Zhu Zhuqing asked. "Indeed. It seems like those pills and Earth Dragon golden melons were given to the right person. Douluo is very enthusiastic about doing things now. He's already secretly contacted a few families, and there's a high chance that he'll rope them in." Lu Yuan smiled. "Senior Douluo is returning the favor. He's a very sentimental person. You've helped him and Douluo Yang so much. He's using his own actions to repay you," Zhu Zhuqing said. "That is indeed the case. Although Senior Douluo's personality is somewhat eccentric, he is a very sentimental and righteous person. Otherwise, I would not have chosen to recruit him back then and even made so many promises. It is because I value him that I am willing to do so much." Lu Yuan said softly. After all, if Douluo was just a murderous, eccentric, and inhumane person, Lu Yuan wouldn't have said so much to him. He would have already killed him and occupied the Icefire Yin-Yang well. However, it was precisely because Douluo was sentimental and righteous that Lu Yuan was willing to treat him with respect. "Yes, after all, you're not a good person." Looking at Lu Yuan, Zhu Zhuqing sighed and said, "Did I say that I'm a good person?" Lu Yuan stretched out his right hand and pinched Zhu Zhuqing's face. Was this girl teasing him? "Ah, it hurts." Zhu Zhuqing slapped Lu Yuan's hand to the side and punched Lu Yuan's chest twice. Then, she found a comfortable place to lean in Lu Yuan's arms. How can there be so many good people in this world? I can only guarantee that I have a bottom line when doing things. Lu Yuan sighed softly and said. Since he had chosen to unify the continent for the martial spirit palace, it was impossible for his hands not to be stained with blood. A general success was built on the bones of thousands. This was not a lie. Although unifying the continent would cause a lot of blood to be spilled temporarily, It would be beneficial for the future. After all, prosperity would only appear in a unified dynasty. Furthermore, what he was doing now was to reduce the number of sacrifices and bloodshed. As long as Chihiro Snow successfully ascended to the throne, they would be able to take down the Heaven Do Empire without shedding a drop of blood. Perhaps this was the only reason why Senryu sent Chihiro Snow to hide in the Heaven Do Empire. Once they took down the Heaven Do Empire, it would be much easier to take down the Sionra Empire. In Lu Yuan's heart, he hoped that the war would be as short as possible. The faster the war, the better. This way, fewer people would die. When the martial Seoul Empire was established and unified the continent, the people's living standards would be restored in the shortest time possible. With some effective methods to govern the country, the entire continent would quickly prosper. Yes, this is a world where the strong prey on the weak. Zhu Zhuqing nodded lightly. Her dark experiences from a young age made her deeply understand this point. After hearing Zhu Zhuqing's words, Lu Yuan gently stroked her soft, jet-black hair. His eyes wandered. Not far away, two figures slowly appeared. Looking at the somewhat familiar figure in front of him, Lu Yuan couldn't help but murmur, "Senior sister." You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.